Bonjour. Good evening, everyone. We will now call the meeting to order. But before we begin the meeting this evening, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of former Mayor Georges Leblanc. Mayor Georges occupied this seat for 8 years, from 2008 to 2016. Il a également siégé en tant que conseiller municipal pendant 3 mandats. Au total, il a consacré 17 années de service dédiés aux citoyens et citoyennes de Moncton. Those of us who were fortunate to work with him, we remember him as an excellent colleague, a dedicated leader, and a kind, generous, and thoughtful person. Sous sa gouvernance, la ville a connu une croissance exceptionnelle en attirant des événements de haut niveau sur la scène nationale et internationale, ainsi que d'importants investissements commerciaux. Mayor George was fond of saying Moncton punched above its weight. In other words, it was able to do things a city of our size was usually unable to do. And he was right. His office decor was a testament to this, as he proudly displayed a pair of boxing gloves, a gift from George Chavallo. I remember those gloves well because when my grandchildren, my 2 grandsons, were 5 years old at the time, they loved those gloves and actually decided to start a boxing match on the 5th floor of City Hall. I don't quite remember George's reaction, but from what I remember of him, he was a kindred spirit and with a sense of humor. Maire Georges a gardé son calme et exercé son influence en rassurant ses collègues et le public lors des événements tragiques du 4 juin 2014, quand nous en avions tellement besoin. The jewel in his crown, however, is the Avenir Center. He understood the positive impact the center could have and worked tirelessly to convince people it was the right thing to do. And he also had to convince council of that. I remember it well. Il s'agit là de l'une des réalisations les plus marquantes de son mandat. Donc, au nom du conseil municipal de Moncton, je tiens à transmettre nos plus sincères condoléances à sa famille, à ses collègues et à ses amis. George will be remembered. Merci, Madame la Greffière.
Your Worship, all public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated. Hearing assistant devices are available at the entrance of the council chambers. Members of the public have the right to address City Council in the official language of their choice. Meetings are broadcasted live in both official languages on the city's YouTube channel, accessible via moncton.ca, and will also be aired at 9 p.m. this evening on rogerstv.com. Individuals who have registered with the City Clerk's office at least 7 days prior to the meeting agenda deadline will be allocated 5 minutes to deliver their presentation. All other public presentations will be allotted 2 minutes. A 1-minute warning will be provided to indicate the remaining. An important reminder, all presenters, city staff, and council members are expected to conduct themselves respectfully at all times. Disparaging remarks, offensive language, or profane expressions directed towards council, staff, or members of the public will not be permitted. Any breach of this code of conduct may result in the presenter being directed to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Toutes les séances publiques du Conseil municipal de la Ville de Moncton sont traduites simultanément. Des appareils d'aide à l'audition sont disponibles à l'entrée de la salle du Conseil. Les membres du public ont le droit de s'adresser au Conseil municipal dans la langue officielle de leur choix. Les séances sont diffusées en direct dans les 2 langues officielles sur la chaîne YouTube de la ville, accessible sur le site moncton.ca, et seront également diffusées à 21h ce soir sur rogerstv.com. Les personnes qui se sont inscrites auprès du bureau de la greffière municipale au moins 7 jours avant la date limite de dépôt de l'ordre du jour de la séance disposeront de 5 minutes pour faire leur présentation. Tous les autres intervenants publics disposeront de 2 minutes. Un avertissement d'1 minute sera donné pour indiquer le temps restant. Un rappel important, tous les intervenants, le personnel municipal et les membres du conseil sont tenus de se comporter de manière respectueuse en tout temps. Les remarques désobligeantes, le langage offensant ou les expressions grossières à l'égard du conseil municipal, du personnel ou des membres du public ne seront pas tolérés. Tout manquant à ce code de conduite peut entraîner l'expulsion de l'intervenant de la salle du conseil à la discrétion de la présidente.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Are there changes to the agenda?
Yes, I believe that Councillor Crossman has a request.
Go ahead, Councillor Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have two requests, actually. I'll start with the first one. Could we observe 1 moment of silence for the passing of George LeBlanc, former mayor of Moncton?
I think we can do that.
Good, thank you.
C'est bon, merci. Donc, est-ce qu'on fait ça maintenant? Oui. So we will observe 1 minute.
And I wish to thank everyone for that observation. Madam City Clerk, with the attendance in this room this evening, the amount of seniors that are here present, I would like to move all reports from 9.1 from the Private and Reports Committee to follow item 6 on the public agendas, which is public presentations.
Thank you, Councillor Crossman. Do I have a seconder for those changes? Conseiller Léger. Merci. We will go to a vote. Are there any questions? No? We will go to a vote.
Conseiller Bourgeois.
Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci, Madame la Maire. Instead of doing another motion, would Councillor Crossman accept that we move 9.2 as well?
I said all of them.
All, okay, not, but you said all 9.1.
Oh, sorry, all of 9.
Okay, thank you.
C'est bon. So, c'est virtuel.
Council understands that we're moving all of item 9. Thank you.
Donc, le vote est... So, we will do show of hands for the vote, please. Thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Next is conflict of interest, les déclarations des conflits d'intérêts.
Are there conflicts of interest? I don't see any.
Next is consent agenda, les questions soumises à l'approbation du Conseil. Et on a une exception à l'arrêté concernant les bruits excessifs pour l'Université de Moncton. La date a changé, c'est la raison que ça revient au Conseil. Ça serait pour le 20 février.
Merci,
Le
Madame la
21,
Présidente.
je m'excuse, le 21 février.
I need a mover and a seconder for that. Conseiller Léger, Conseiller Leblanc. Merci. So, any questions on that? If not, we will go to a vote, which is electronic. C'est bon. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Noted that Councillor Edgett is not in the room. Next would be presentations, public and administration presentations, posées du public et de l'administration. And the first this evening is a public presentation. Presentation, Energy Affordability, Deanne Kimball and Brittany Frederick. Oh, they're making their way to the podium. If you can just push the button and I will give you access.
Bonsoir. Good evening.
There you go.
Thank you so much. My name is Brittany Frederick. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am here to ask for the support of the public petition calling for the independent review of the NBEUB, the provincial body responsible for regulating energy and utility rates in our province. The petition was created out of growing concern from residents across New Brunswick, and particularly here in Moncton, who are struggling with rising energy costs and declining confidence in the regulatory system meant to protect them. At the heart of the issue is trust. The NBEUB is supposed to act as an independent watchdog that balances the financial health and utilities with affordability for ratepayers. However, many citizens believe that this independence has been compromised. There are serious concerns about conflicts of interest, including board members with current or past financial ties to the very entities that they are tasked with regulating, such as NB Power. When regulators appear too close to industry, public confidence erodes, and that is exactly what we are seeing now. Since 2023, electricity rates have increased by more than 24%, with another 4.75% increase set to come into effect this April. For many people, that is not an abstract number. It is a monthly stress. Here in Moncton, residents are making difficult choices between paying power bills, buying groceries, covering rent, or heating their homes. Seniors on fixed incomes, young families, students, and small business owners are all feeling the strain. It is important to be clear about what this petition is and what it is not. The petition does not call for the immediate abolition of the EUB. Instead, it calls for accountability and transparency through the independent third-party public review commissioned by the Government of New Brunswick. The requested review would examine the board's mandate, governance structure, appointment process, and conflict of interest safeguards. It would include public hearings so that everyday residents, including those from Moncton, can share how rising utility costs are affecting their lives. It would also require full disclosure of past and present industry ties to the public, so the public can have confidence in the process. And this is where City Council roles matter. While energy regulation is a provincial responsibility, the impacts are felt locally. Municipal leaders are often the first to hear from residents who are struggling. Your support would not only validate those concerns, but also send a strong message to the province that affordability, fairness, and transparency are priorities for Moncton. By supporting this petition, Council is not taking a partisan position. You are standing up for residents, for small businesses, for seniors, and for the principle that regulators must be independent, accountable, and focused on the public interest. We respectfully ask that this Council to acknowledge the concerns raised in this petition and to urge the provincial government to proceed with an independent public review of the NBEUB. This is about ensuring that families in Moncton can afford to keep their lights on, that businesses can plan for the future, and that public institutions serve the people they are meant to protect. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your leadership on behalf of the residents of Moncton.
Hi, I'm Deanne Kimball. We have about 6,000 signatures from residents around New Brunswick. We could probably get allowed more time. We also have quite a few testimonies from the effects this is having on our community from Moncton residents. I have Anita. I'm the only income as a husband. My husband is sick and was denied disability. I either have to choose between food or heat. It's not right. Jessica, something has to be done about these astronomically high power bills in NB. People are forced to choose between basic necessities just to afford their bills, and it's even worse for single income households. Enough is enough. We have many of these testimonies. We're not going to go through them all with you, but we appreciate your time and hearing us today.
Thank you both so much. We will hear both presentations and then we will go to questions.
If you would want to leave the petition with the page, that would be appreciated. Next presentation is an update from the Greater Moncton Homeless Steering Committee. Andrea Ann, is she here? Oh, yeah, there she comes.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Good evening, Deputy Mayor Theriault, members of council. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. I'm here as I listened to the February 2nd meeting, and a comment was made in this chamber that nothing has been done when speaking to the Joint Action Report on Homelessness and Downtown Security. And I want to respond to that tonight, not defensively, but respectively and with clarity. because for someone that has been doing this role in community as the community coordinator for almost 2 years now, that comment hurt my heart for the frontline workers in the organizations that are doing this work. Within this time, I've had the privilege to see and hear about the coordination that is going on in community, the effort, the care that is being made, and really the tremendous amount of work that has been done. Frontline workers of the organizations and department that sit around the table at GMHSC, the Greater Moncton Homeless Steering Committee, carry extraordinary burdens. They respond to overdoses. They sit with individuals in mental health crises. They navigate addiction treatment wait lists. They help people secure identification and income supports. They search for housing in a market with almost no vacancy or very little deeply affordable housing. They mediate landlord conflicts. They attend critical incidences, and that's not including the other duties as required. They often go home carrying the emotional weight of what they have witnessed. This is deeply human work. Stories can be shared of individuals who have been living outdoors for years. And I mean that, for years, more than 5 years. That it took outreach, trust building, and coordination between community organizations to support those individuals to finally moving into stable housing. And it didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen because nothing was done. It happened because multiple organizations worked together with persistence and compassion. Stories like these, unfortunately, don't make headlines, but they matter. Since 2021, there's the healthcare coordination teams that work alongside FACT and Selvis in the shelters. Ensemble has its own well-established initiatives to help get appropriate messaging to the clients that they serve, as well as the community. Implementation of a central intake system at the Bridge to Home hub has significantly helped. There's the establishment of the Moncton Shelter Network. There's our mental health court that's coming to Moncton in March of 2026, and that's just a few of the things that have been done. Now, are we where we need to be? No, definitely not. Are pressures increasing? Yes, they are. Is the housing shortage severe and not affordable to all? Absolutely. But to say nothing has been done fails to acknowledge both the structural progress that has been achieved and the extraordinary human effort sustaining this work every day. Progress in this sector is often measured in stabilization. One person housed, one crisis de-escalated, one eviction prevented, one individual diverted from incarceration into supports, and these outcomes matter. Frontline workers and organizations deserve recognition because if we diminish their work, even unintentionally, we risk undermining morale in a sector that is truly already stretched thin. The work is not finished, but it's very much underway, and it's measurable. I thank you for listening, and we, as a committee, look forward to continuing to collaborate as a city with yourselves, with the business community, and community members alike. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And are there any questions for both presenters? Conseiller Bourgeois. Allez-y.
Merci. Merci, Madame la Maire. Merci beaucoup, Andrea. Can we have a copy of the update on the nonprofit and community actions listed in the 27 joint action? Do you have that on paper?
So I'll be very honest, when I had a lot of different phone calls and people reaching out about the report after the meeting, and I hadn't watched the meeting. And after watching it, and previous to that, pulled up the report, and I have reached out to all the organizations to find out different updates, so I do have a few. I don't want to speak on anything that would be outside of GMHSC's work, only because, one, I guess if anyone's looked at the report, every individual that has signed that report, unfortunately, is no longer in community within their roles. So I'm not sure really what that report is looking like now, but I definitely have some updates from mental health and addictions, from Rising Tide, from Ensemble, from the Moncton Shelter Network, so I'd be happy to provide all of those from within the work that we're doing, absolutely.
The reason I'm asking is that we have a committee on crime prevention and reduction. And part of the report goes through everything that has been done and maybe is outstanding, so we can tackle whatever hasn't been done. Whether or not we recommend it, it's another thing, but at least we start off by identifying what has been done. So whatever you can give us, it'd be great. Send it to danielle.bourgeois@moncton.ca.
Perfect, yes, I will.
Merci.
And I'll feel free to share that with all councillors as well.
Okay, merci.
De rien.
Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, Conseiller Bourgeois. Are there any other questions? I don't see any. Thank you so much for the presentation, and your work is really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is administration presentation, les exposés de l'administration, and we have one this evening. It's an update from the RCMP. Benoît Jolet, surintendant du service régional de Kodiak, la GRC, is here to provide an update.
Bonsoir, surintendant. Je tiens vraiment à vous remercier pour votre rapport que nous avons reçu aujourd'hui. C'est très, très bien. Merci beaucoup.
Donc, merci, Madame la mairesse par intérim. So, thank you, Moncton Council staff and the everybody that's here today. I won't read every line of the report. Council will have it. There's certain things that I'd like to highlight, and as always, I'm available for questions that I'll be able to answer. I don't want to take up too much time because I think there's other issues that need to be discussed here tonight. Just some of the things that have happened since I last reported on January 19th. So we're really happy that on February 2nd we launched our own social media presence through our Facebook page. It's going to allow a presence for us to report to residents on daily activities in all three communities, so from traffic enforcement to attendance of community events and what's going on in Moncton, Dieppe, and Riverview. So we're just starting. We look to accelerate this and provide as much information as we can, and we're going to be starting a weekly update on our Facebook page of what happened the previous week. So residents will really get more of an idea of what's going on in their community. Something that we're extremely proud about is, so March 9th is the date that we're going to be launching our pilot project in the downtown of Moncton to address mental health concerns. It's in partnership with Vitalité and Horizon. This is the project that we dubbed CAR 67. It's an initiative, an extension of the mobile crisis unit to proactively and reactively patrol in the downtown areas. And it's seen immense success in the lower mainland of British Columbia, so we're going to emulate that project here. Inspector Jonathan White, who's here in back of me tonight, led this. And again, thanks to the two health networks that are participating. We've had them fully trained, or awareness training in all of our de-escalation, use of force and all that, and geared them up so that it's safe, and we look forward to launch that on March 9th and report to council at a later date of the results. There's been various successes regarding our newly formed property crime unit and our priority offender team, and I'll let council read that. If they have any questions after the fact, please let me know. There's different crime series that have been disrupted. So over the last weekend, I'll be honest with council and residents, it was one of the most hectic weekends since I've been here in the last 6.5 years. Just Kodiak, for example, responded to 3 unrelated stabbing incidents in the downtown of Moncton. Like I said, they're all unrelated. All the victims will survive the assaults. In one of the specific cases, we were able to identify one of the suspects, locate him, arrest him, and remanded him to custody, and he's facing various severe charges. And the other 2 members are investigating the incidents, but they're facing reluctant victims. And all of these incidents are all, they're random attacks. They're all people that had some sort of connection with each other. Again, also on February 15th, over the weekend, we responded to a residence on High Street just after noon. The members there located a woman deceased outside in a residential garbage bin. All of our additional units have been deployed to the investigation including the New Brunswick RCMP Major Crime Unit. We're treating this investigation as a suspicious death. An autopsy has been scheduled to determine the victim's identity and the cause of death. And later on that day, on February 15th, Kodiak RCMP with the Major Crime Unit and the Emergency Response Team out of New Brunswick conducted an operation on Norwood Street in connection to this investigation. So we're asking for anybody with information on this incident to please contact Kodiak RCMP or the Major Crime Unit. And we have not come out with a name yet for respect for the investigation to the family, but to the family and friends of the departed, our sincere condolences. On February 13th, again on Friday, there was a report that Southeast District responded to an escapee from the Southeast Provincial Detention Center in Shediac. An alert ready message was sent advising the public of the escapee and identifying him. Since then, as you can imagine, we've responded to hundreds of tips from the public and went to every single one to see what exactly was going on. The individual has not been located, but I'd like to thank the public for calling it in, because if something looks weird, we want the call. And until the suspect has been located and brought into custody, just to remind everybody to stay vigilant. I provided a staffing update in the document. I'll let council review that. We're +1 from last month, and things are going in the right direction. What I do want to end with is moving forward for 2026, as we start planning for the 2027 budget. We're once again inviting the voices of our communities to help shape the priorities for the year ahead. So residents from all 3 Kodiak communities will be surveyed this year like they are every year, continuing our commitment to ensuring that local perspectives guide our shared direction. And in addition to the community survey, councillors will also be asked to participate in a parallel questionnaire. So their insights, grounded in day-to-day governance and community engagement, will help us build a budget proposal that reflects both the needs and the aspirations of the people we serve. And the input plays a meaningful role in setting the course for 2027. So by participating, everyone's going to help us and understand what matters most, where investments should be focused, and how we can continue strengthening the services and quality of life across the Kodiak region. So we look forward to hearing from you and working together towards a thoughtful, community-driven budget for 2027. So if we speak about dedicated resources, so we remain open to further discussions regarding if the City of Moncton wished to explore a special event model as a way to provide specific targeted services for downtown patrols or any other area in the municipality. So in the addition, the Kodiak RCMP will be proposing to creation of a dedicated fund for the 2027 budget specifically for that. So the fund will allow each municipality or community to direct overtime resources towards specifically identified priorities, even when those priorities fall outside traditional policing metrics. So examples of that is the Guns N' Roses concert that happened in Moncton in 2023, where it's completely separate from day-to-day policing, or the YQM Country Fest in Dieppe, where we've had a contract with the city of Dieppe for the last 4 years. Finally, so a new look for 2026. As you notice, myself and Inspector White are wearing a different colored shirt than we used to wear. This was advertised through our social media. It's across Canada. The RCMP is moving away from our traditional gray shirts, and for commissioned officers like ourselves, the white shirt, and adopting a blue shirt. We're also moving towards we're changing the livery of our police vehicles in 2026. From the traditional white and colored model to a black and white police vehicle. So all of this is partially, mostly due to the recommendations from the Mass Casualty Commission, specifically the vehicles, and the shirts is something that had been a long time coming. So residents may have noticed this, some never even noticed, so, but it is what it is. I think we look sharp, and so I just wanted to advise council and residents. So as we continue to push through 2026, it's going to be exciting. We're also moving to our new location, so we look forward to work alongside Moncton Council and all of city staff to make sure that we can do everything to make Moncton a better and safer place to live. Merci, madame. La mairesse par intérim.
Merci beaucoup, Surintendant. Conseiller Léger.
Merci, Madame le Malès. Merci, Surintendant. Just maybe could you perhaps give a little more information in terms of the number of officers, the report that you've outlined. I hope you'll share that perhaps on some of your social media, but your current staffing update.
Sure.
And I mean, that's been something that's been ongoing for a number of years, even years back when it was first identified, the pressures that your members were facing with respect to time sick or injuries and so on, just showed the necessity to increase the number of personnel that was available, fully knowing that at any given time you're going to be faced with shortages and so on. So perhaps just maybe an opportunity to maybe clarify where we are at the moment with
Absolutely.
respect to actual members available.
Sure. So there's several numbers that we use, and I'll go through them, and I believe council has them before them, just for everyone else that doesn't have this detail. So every year we're provided a budgeted amount that the RCMP is allotted, and for 2026, it's 169 regular members, police officers. We, as Councillor Najjar just mentioned, since 2021, 2022, we have an overstaff of extra people that would call Kodiak home to account for the people that are away, injured, on maternity, paternity, or whatever, and also to account for historical vacancies. So that's what we call our complement. Our complement is set at 199, so it's 30 above our budgeted amount. Our current complement, people that call Kodiak home and names on an org chart and are physically belong to us, is 176 out of those two numbers. So, which leads, if we can do some simple math, is our vacancies would be 23 people that we would need to arrive to Kodiak. Currently, we have 11 people that have been identified to come to Kodiak from other locations. Some are cadets, some are people from other detachments with experience. Some people have promoted in, so 11 that are on the way. We currently have 6 ongoing different staffing actions, so that's for promotions, but also Kodiak RCMP always has a national staffing action with across Canada, where it's continuously open, where we're always looking for people to come here. And we'll be honest, we're targeting bilingual New Brunswickers that were sent somewhere else in Canada who may have 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and we want them to come back here, and we want them to come work here. So that is always ongoing. Members off sick currently right now is 10. 2 members are suspended, 5 are on parental leave, 9 are on administrative duties due to injuries suffered and slowly coming back. So if we calculate all those numbers that I gave us, the boots on the ground today, snapshot today, is 150 out of our budgeted amount of 169.
And what happens in terms of bringing, I guess, assuring residents that if you need a complement of 169 and you actually have 150, where does the gap of the 19 come into play in terms of your daily operations?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So with the reduced amount of people that are available to us, it's extra work for the people that show up every day. So a higher caseload, more files that police officers have to do, which translates to less time being proactive, being visible, being out there, because they have more court files to do. Also, obviously, if we have more, then response times would reduce as well too, because then we have more people to do things. A lot of the activities that we do sporadically, we would do them sporadically more. So these are examples are school patrols, school talks, traffic enforcement, open air drug enforcement, you name it. So that's exactly what that leads to. We try to do the same amount with less, and obviously we can't, so a lot of the things, the extra stuff becomes sporadic, but it doesn't change anything for residents to be, I want residents to be reassured is if somebody calls a 911, that's our primary duty. That's where everything gets dropped, and we respond to all calls for service, and we throw everything we have at the most violent crimes or ongoing situations.
Okay, and I have one other question which relates to the emergency response that the message that was sent out as of last Friday, but a number of different messages were sent out at different times. And I'm just trying to understand the methodology of how that's done, because it seemed repetitive. Then at one point, is it to continually inform the general public of what you think? Just for clarity, because people seem to be puzzled by what the messages are saying.
Yeah, so the threshold's pretty high for a message like that to be done, and it's all situation dependent on the information that whoever is the lead investigative agency for that. In this case, it's Southeast District RCMP, so Shitty Eye. But as we can imagine, we get various calls every day here in Moncton about people that are walking with a potential weapon or whatever. Our phones would be going off the hook on these alerts, so it has to be a specific threshold. The reason that there's multiple messages is if there's new information that comes in. Let's just say we identify a picture, a vehicle, or whatever, or to keep people updated to say we're still looking for this people in this case. So when this individual is located, when he will be located, we're going to get another message saying that this individual was located.
And lastly, there was a gap from the time that he escaped to the time that the first alert. And was that because, or I guess I'm just trying to understand, if you're following the escape, is it that because it can be very close and maybe you have a parameter, is that what would not trigger an alert for the general public?
Yeah, so I'd just be guessing because, like I said, we weren't the lead agency on why and when the alert was sent, but it's sent for the ones that we've done here, specifically in Kodiak. It's when we have all the information, and you don't need to have volumes of information, just the basics that need to be sent out, and the threshold's been met, then it's sent out. So, but to your point, we can never send it too early, and we can never give enough information. So, but I'm just looking forward to receiving, and as is my daughter, who asks me every day, "Have you found that guy?" She asks me that every morning. I can't wait to have the closing the loop message saying that he's been picked up and is in custody.
Okay, thank you. Merci.
Merci, conseiller Léger. Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la maire. Merci, Surintendant Jolette. Mon opinion, vous êtes un plus bel homme en bleu qu'en
Oui,
gris.
merci. C'est ce que ma femme m'a dit, oui. Merci.
Deux questions. It's concerning your reaction to Enough is Enough, and just a clarification. There has been a significant increase in crime since 2021. It had increased substantially until 21 and then slowly reducing. Do you have any evidence to support either one, but that it's because less people report, or there is actually less crimes committed?
So the only thing I can focus on is the data. So if we look at 2023, we reduced in 2024. And in 2025, we went up, but not as high as 2023. It's a good question, but we could ask the same question leading up 10, 15, 20 years. Were people not reporting the same types of crimes? So and my response to that is there's commentary that says, well, why call? Nothing will be done. Give us a try. Just give us a call. We work 24 hours a day. We have a dedicated property crime team right now, and they've been hitting home runs since they started January 5th. And just give us a call. We respond to up to 200 calls for service on a 24-hour basis. You go to every single one, unless it's a non-emergency call, but then we have people that can call back, and then if we need to go, we'll send our patrol members that are supervised by Inspector White. So if you see something that looks weird, give us a call. If you get something stolen from your property, regardless if it's a garden gnome that's been there for 30 years, give us a call. Because just one of the examples that's in your report, we had somebody call regarding a suspicious person that was observed rummaging in their vehicle in their driveway. Person ran away, nothing was stolen. Our property crime went to that call, started knocking on doors. We found 10 vehicles that stuff had been stolen in it, and started following the breadcrumbs, identified the suspect, located him, he admitted to it, found stolen property. We have 10 files that are resolved. because of that one person that took the time to call us and report suspicious activity, so.
How far back can we go?
Yeah. So there's statutes of limitations for some files, but give us a call.
Okay, merci. Deuxième question. I was looking at the solvency rate, and here in Moncton, it is significantly lower than St. John and Fredericton. And the main reason why is lack of evidence. The second main reason why is that victims back off. They no longer want to testify or whatever it is. Are there solutions to those two issues? These are like 60% lack of evidence and about 20% victims fall. So the rest are, less than 10% except for one case. So any suggestions on how do we collect more sound evidence, more evidence, better quality evidence, and convince the victims to pursue the matter?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's things that we, as the Kodiak Regional RCMP, can do, and there's things that residents can do. So I'll start with what we can do. In 2024, when we did our internal review by the external agency of what we did well, what we could do better on, it was some of the items that we were struggling was solvency rate for property crime and persons crime. And I was the first to say we could do a lot better on this, and I totally agree. That's why in our investment that the municipalities supported in the Kodiak Regional Policing Authority for 2025, 17 extra bodies, it was all thrown to community policing and investigations. And we created the property crime team specifically for our solvency issues with property crimes, and our vulnerable person unit to deal with sexual assaults, domestic violence, exactly for that. So just if we think of our vulnerable person unit, for example, we have investigators now that's all they do is talking to vulnerable people that are victims of domestic violence, sexual assaults, instead of working on a break-and-enter in the morning, a fraud in the afternoon, and a sexual assault in the evening. They're building specializations. They're going to get better at talking to victims and explaining the process and being more efficient in the investigation. So that's why we invested there. We developed all of our KPIs, and this is exactly what we're going to report back to the police board and to council to say, here's what we've done so far in 2026 with our investments. So what can residents do? Moncton, Dieppe, and Riverview, I've been here only 6.5 years, but I've seen a tremendous change. So imagine the people that have been here forever. This is a big little city, the same problems that are in any major city across Canada, across the planet. So things that residents need to do: lock your doors, secure your property. A lot of our files for property crime specifically is there's no cameras and doors aren't locked. Of course, this comes with an investment, but if you look at any other major city, you can take a walk in Quebec City, Montreal, Toronto, and there's cameras everywhere. So that's just one of the things. And that's not a today to tomorrow. That's a long-term thing that municipalities and residents have to realize and invest in that. But it comes to a cost. But people need to secure their properties. Too many times, the majority of our thefts of vehicles, for example, the cars are running and parked outside of a corner store or whatever. Or the keys are in the vehicle, doors are unlocked. A theft of opportunity. People have to secure their premises. Whether you're inside your house gone shopping or on a trip, your doors need to be locked. So, and not mention on social media that you're in Florida and stuff like this. These are just common sense things that everybody needs to take care of your own property. So it needs to be a full round commitment. We can do better, 100%. But residents also can do a bunch of things to secure their property as well.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire.
Merci, conseiller Kingston.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Addis. Ben, I know at a public CRPA presentation recently, you touched on Car 67, and I think it bears repeating. I think it's a bold new venture, but it's very popular in BC, as you mentioned. And I think it bears repeating that a regular member will be paired with a mental health worker on patrol. I know I'm quoting, Ben, what you just said, but it bears certainly repeating, in the downtown. This team will be an extension of the Mobile Crisis Unit, proactively patrolling our most troubled areas to make contact with individuals struggling with mental health concerns. That is, in itself, is a tremendous move forward for downtown. As you know, it's our active quadrant in the city. And Ben, I just want to congratulate Kodiak and wish you all the best of luck moving forward with Car 67.
Yep, thank you very much. And we're excited to see what the results are going to be. And we couldn't have the best person, our Constable Gagnon, who was picked for that. He was made for this job. But we've really seen a lot of interest in the two health networks. So the only thing I regret is the name is because of the young kids in their 6-7 thing there. So, but whatever, that's so 2025.
Right. Expo 67 or Car 54, where are you?
Yes.
I think, Ben. Thank you, Madame Mairesse. Merci, Ben. Thank you very much.
Merci, Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Great pun there. I really like that, Superintendent. Thank you. Thanks for the report that you sent forward. I've just got two questions on it.
Yep.
One, you talk about boots on the ground being 150. How do I get to that from budgeted positions, complement, or current complement? What numbers do I take away to get to 150?
Yeah, no problem. So that's, the number that you take is the 169, and then everything that's members off-duty 6, 10, you add that. That's,
Okay, so that's where the division is?
yes.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Moving forward in 2026, you talked about a survey that will be going out not only to local businesses, people as well, businesses, I'm assuming, it's going out to businesses.
Yeah, so it goes out to, it's a échantillon, a sample of residents, businesses, and this is sent every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this would be the one that we review when we do our quarterly tri-community
Yeah,
meetings?
I believe so, yeah.
It's along this line? Okay, and you are aware that the RCMP, or the CRPA has to have a budget before council so many months in advance of the budgeted system. So that's November when we debate budgets. So when do you think this will be rolling out to the public, the general public? Because you do have a lot of seniors in the room this evening, and they're always concerned about their safety and their health within the community. So I'm just curious, and I know that I think the city has over 500 email addresses for seniors, somewhere in that area. So I'm just curious as to how we can get this information out so they're involved.
Yeah, I don't have the exact date, and I saw Mr. Savo was here, and I don't know if he stayed or not. He knows exactly when it is sent out, but it's sent out every year, and it's roughly around this time, but I'm not sure.
Okay, good. So, thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Richard.
Merci, Mairesse Thériault. Thanks, Ben, for the presentation. I think the blue is going to go with the blue ball cap now. I think everything,
Yes.
I'm sure you guys are happy.
Yes.
So just to touch again on the survey, depending when this goes out, if it's, because it mentions going out to councils as well.
Yes.
After May 11th, there's going to be a new council, so I'm just wondering if it's past that date, will you be coming back to councilors that were sitting in these seats, having gone through the last 5 years?
That's a good question. So we discussed that, and obviously we can't wait till end of May, June to discuss with council what the expectation is for 2027. And this is all about like priority setting, strategy and all that, so that when we get to budget season in September, that there is no questions and there'll be questions, but no surprises is the right word. So that we show up and everybody knows what exactly we're working together to get to. So that was discussed, and I guess this will be this current council's working towards what's expected for 2027 and then have the handoff. So, yeah, obviously there's going to be communication that's going to be done because it's going to be decided by this council, but then approved by the next. So I think the Moncton Council is going to have some extra work to do for that specifically.
No, that's great. Thanks for the clarification. And CRCOPA, Citizens on Patrol. I think you mentioned last time that you'd be bringing either somebody or more information back.
So I provided the details, I believe, of who the contact person is, but I can follow up on that there if that person didn't communicate.
Okay.
And she's looking at me like confused, so I'll follow up with that. Yep.
No, that's good. It's just I got a call today from a member of CRCOPA, which is the Citizens on Patrol. and noticed or understood what's going on with Enough is Enough, and wondering if they could be visible on the streets, if something that you guys would, if you'd want to work with them to patrol, in a sense, the streets, just to be visible, just to give that visibility to help you guys out as well, so.
Yeah, like I've said before, it's an agency that's completely, I guess, separate from us, but we do the training and help out with the Citizens on Patrol, but absolutely.
Because I think you do the funding as well.
That I don't have the answer.
Okay.
I don't believe, but
No?
perhaps.
Perhaps.
I don't have that.
That's okay. Wouldn't mind some information on that, just to
No problem.
see what we can do. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Conseiller Richard. I don't see any other questions. Merci beaucoup, Surintendant.
Merci.
Bonne fin de soirée.
Have a good rest of your meeting.
Merci. Madame la greffière.
Next is item 9, reports and recommendations from committees and private meetings et rapports et recommandations des comités et réunions à huis clos. The first this evening is recommendations from the private meeting of February 9, 2026. There are 3 coming out of this meeting. Moncton City Council at its private meeting of February 9th, 2026, reports that the agenda for the private meeting of that date was adopted and recommends the following. Number 1, that Moncton City Council approve the agreement purchase and sale for the purpose of PID 05004676 from John Brent Shepherd, being lands and premises within the Turtle Creek watershed, and that the Deputy Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to execute all documents necessary to complete the purchase transaction and affix the corporate seal of the City of Moncton thereto. The backgrounder on this is administration has identified an opportunity to acquire a camp and lands by purchase from the willing seller within Zone B of the Turtle Creek watershed. The acquisition of land is consistent with the city's ongoing efforts to exercise as much control as possible in the Turtle Creek watershed and to acquire properties deemed to be in the priority locations.
Merci, Madame la greffière. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Kingston, Councillor Leblanc. C'est beau, merci. Are there any questions? I don't see any questions, so we will go to an electronic vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Note that Councillor Edgett is not in the room. Number 2, that Moncton City Council approved the advance of $320,000 to Rising Tides and that the city prepare an agreement with Rising Tides where the $320,000 that they will receive in 2027 from the HAF program goes directly to the city as reimbursement of the advance, and that the Deputy Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to execute all necessary documents and affix the corporate seal thereto. The backgrounder on this is that Rising Tide was issued a building permit at 59 Purdy Avenue in the spring of 2025 to construct a 2-story development containing 16 affordable housing units, which is near completion. The development is eligible through CMHC Housing Accelerator Fund, the HAF, and has been approved for $320,000 in grants, $20,000 per door. Due to the entire 2026 portion of HAF program being fully allocated, funding was distributed to Rising Tide, was to be distributed to Rising Tides in 2027. Rising Tides has requested that the city advance these funds to them to improve their cash flow position in the next year. When the city receives its HAF funding, it will simply reimburse itself with the advance it provided to Rising Tides. Administration is agreeable with this request as construction of the property is almost complete and the city will receive our funding in 2027.
Thank you, Conseiller Légendre. Do you wish to move the recommendation? Could I have a seconder, please? Conseiller Leblanc. Thank you. Are there any questions on this? Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci, Madame la Maire. Je ne sais pas à qui est-ce que j'adresse la question, mais j'étais pas là lorsque le sujet a été débattu. Je veux juste savoir ça dit clairement que they will receive the funds in 2027. Was there any guarantee? Was there any documentation from the half funding that this is a sure thing?
Monsieur Gérard.
Je peux prendre cette question-là. Jacques, merci pour la question. Oui, absolument. Le contrat est signé avec CMHC. Alors, c'est juste une chose du timing que l'argent sera reçu par la municipalité. Alors, il n'y a aucun risque à ce niveau-là.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, Madame la maire.
Merci. I don't see any other questions, so we will go to the vote. Electronic vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Noted once again, Susan Edgett was not in the room. The third and final is that Moncton City Council approved the sale of the property located at 80 Lemerick Street, PID 00786970, as is for $1 to the Senior Center Committee, SCC, for the purpose of developing a senior center. That Moncton City Council approve a maximum of $1.7 million to be earmarked for a senior center. That Moncton City Council confirm that the city will consider annual operating funding through the annual grant policy process. That Moncton City Council require the SCC be fully responsible for the construction, and that the building become a City of Moncton-owned property should the SCC cease to exist. That the SCC be responsible for the management of their building, that the SCC adopt a model with the City of Moncton to oversee the coordination of programming, that the SCC undertake fundraising and meet any capital shortfalls, that the city enter into a funding agreement with the SCC that includes but is not limited to the following conditions. A, that the SCC, as a not-for-profit organization, develop a comprehensive business plan demonstrating long-term financial sustainability, including consideration of provincial and federal funding programs, increased membership and rentals, and/or community fundraising. B, that the maximum of $1.7 million be only distributed by the city when the SCC have been able to fundraise and meet any capital shortfall in funding based on a Class B estimate. C, that the SCC will not seek any additional funds from the city for capital purposes. D, that the City of Moncton official language policy be followed and that any naming rights associated with the senior center building include a bilingual descriptor, and that Moncton City Council direct administration to return to council with a funding agreement for council's approval. The backgrounder on this: following the closure of the Moncton Lions Community Center in 2022 to accommodate out of the cold shelter, an initial plan to establish a new dedicated center at 1010 St. George Street did not proceed. Administration has continued to work with the Senior Center Committee over the past several months to identify alternative options and opportunities to strengthen seniors programming in our community. The dedicated center, along with already existing senior program being delivered in the community, will meet community objectives of providing robust recreational, social, physical, and education opportunities for seniors to remain active and connected and help reduce social isolation, supporting a healthier and a more engaged senior population in Moncton.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Conseiller Jean, did you wish to move the recommendation? Okay, I need a seconder for the recommendation. Is there anyone? Oh, Conseiller Kingston, merci. And do you have a question, Conseiller Jean? No?
I guess I'd make a quick comment, which is it's taken a long time to get here, but I think that we've understood the importance of a senior center and certainly look forward to working with the community to make it a reality.
Merci. Thank you, Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci, Madame la maire. J'ai juste un commentaire. Merci au personnel pour tout le travail qui a été fait pour nous rendre ici et au Conseil lors de la réunion privée pour avoir massager et changer des virgules de place pour nous arriver avec une résolution ici. Mais j'ai une question, puis je ne sais pas si c'est quelque chose qui a tombé dans les cracks, mais il me semble que pour le projet 10-10, il y avait une clause qui demandait ou qui offrait, je pense que le montant était 34 000 $, mais je risque de me corriger, là, qui avait été versé par le comité qui gérait le Moncton Lions Senior Center. Après avoir payé toute le dette puis tout ça, il restait un montant, je crois que c'était 34 000 qui a été versé. Je veux juste vérifier auprès de notre directeur des finances, à savoir si ce 34 000-là est là, qu'est-ce qu'on a fait avec, etc.
Bonjour, conseiller Bourgeois. Donc, le montant reçu, puis je me souviens pas exactement du montant, mais c'est environ 35 000. On l'a reçu, je pense, en 2024 ou 2025. Donc, ça aurait été reconnu comme un revenu dans l'année qu'on aurait reçu les fonds. Puis, l'argent, je veux dire, ça a été reconnu comme un revenu. C'est dans notre compte de banque, je veux dire, avec tous les autres revenus. Donc, si qu'on voudrait donner ce montant-là puis il ne reste pas ce montant-là parce qu'on a payé des factures, puis on a payé le comptable pour fermer l'entité, puis des choses comme ça. Donc, je pense qu'il reste environ 20-25 000 $. C'est quelque chose, je veux dire, c'est pas du revenu qu'on a reconnu en 2026, mais on peut reconnaître une dépense si c'est le désir du conseil de le donner au groupe.
Je ne sais pas, c'est pas un gros montant par rapport à tout ce qu'on donne, mais par principe, je ne sais pas si ça tombait entre les cracks, il y a juste quelqu'un qui a oublié de l'inclure, etc. Puis je pense qu'on devrait, même s'il reste juste 22 500 ou 25 000 ou whatever, peut-être que... En tout cas, je pose la question. Merci pour l'information. Là, faut que je digère. Merci.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois. Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mr., I don't know where to direct my question, but it's got to do with the motion. I assume that we're on questions for the motion at this point?
Oui.
Okay, good. So in the questions, or the motion, it states, let's see here, item number B, that the maximum of 1.7 only be distributed by the city when the SCC has been able to fundraise and meet any capital shortfall in funding based on Class B estimates. When do we expect to have a communication with SCC on when they expect to have a Class B estimate? Because so two parts to this. One, that's one part. The second part is the 1.7 is already what council has approved based on the last motion that was brought forward for 1010 St. George. So we know that money is set aside already. I'm curious to know how long of a delay there could be between SCC actually coming up with the shortfall and the Class B estimate.
Thank you for the question, Councilor Crosman.
Does it make any sense?
Yeah, no, I got what your question was. So, again, motion gets ratified today. We've got a meeting set for tomorrow with staff, and we'll be going through those details and communicating with the seniors organizing committee and work with them starting immediately. So how long will it take to get estimates will be on the seniors committee, seniors center committee, board of directors, and figure those pieces out. So we're planning to start working on that tomorrow morning if the motion goes ahead as put forward here.
Okay, great, thank you, I appreciate that. Jacques, I do have a clarifying question on the monies that was given back by the previous board. You had mentioned it about 35,000, and there was some payouts and things along this line. So that remaining is, let's just argue and say 22,000. Where would that money be in our city budget?
So the way that accounting-wise it would work, it would have been recognized as general revenues in the year that it was received. So I believe we received that money in early 2025. So it would have been recognized as a revenue last year, plus we would have recognized the expenses that we paid for, I believe, like to shut down the corporation and things like that, do the last CRA filing and things like that.
Okay, so that money isn't in a reserve or held anywhere?
No.
that- It hasn't been put back into senior programming to increase that? It's just been taken into the budgetary process?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I guess with that said, okay. I didn't think the hockey game was till later, but okay. With regards to the motion, based on the information I just heard, I would like to make an amendment to the motion. I would like to allocate $150,000 from the council contingency fund to Curl Moncton to be used towards updates to Curl Moncton to allow the seniors a temporary location until the new senior center is open and operational. This amount will be allocated by city staff in connection with with Curl Moncton and the Moncton Seniors Committee, SCC, I shall say. And Isabel, I know you got that puzzled look on your face, but I'll just give you some background. Not knowing what the actual turning of the sod will be and how long it could take to build this new building and the cost difference, I think our seniors need a place to gather now and to come together now and to host events now, that this building may take another year to a year and a half before we actually open. So I'll make the amendment. It doesn't mean that it's going to get seconded. It doesn't mean that it's going to get accepted, but that is my amendment. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Crossman, would you repeat that amendment, please?
And I just hope everyone in the room understands that you need a place to go to. And if this new building takes longer than a year or less than a year, at least you'll have a spot to go to, possibly. So, Shelley, you ready? I'd like to amend the motion. I would like to allocate up to $150,000 from the council contingency fund to Curl Moncton to be used towards updates to Curl Moncton to allow seniors a temporary location until the new senior center is open and operational. This $150,000 will be allocated by city staff in connection with SCC and Curl Moncton, and as well as the seniors across the city of Moncton.
Thank you,
You-
Councillor Crossman.
you okay with that?
So moved by Councillor Crossman. Do I have a seconder for that? Conseiller Bourgeois. Merci. Conseiller Léger.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I was going to, first, I guess I'd like to just make a statement related to the approximate $25,000. I think that could just be, I was thinking of in terms of accessibility to seniors. So could there be a direction to staff that if seniors have incurred costs, for example, for surveys or to create the business plan, things along that line, that they would by providing validation of having spent those funds, that those would be accessible through the 30,000. So I wanted to first of all ask staff to, if that's okay, maybe through to the CAO. That was why the money was earmarked in the first place. So could that just be a matter of direction to staff?
I believe that would be direction, but not from where it would come, because I think that, as the CFO indicated, it was in general revenues. It was already assigned to general revenues in the last fiscal year. So I think that if the direction from council would be to a maximum of $25,000 or whatever that amount is to help offset any additional costs in the planning of the such SCC, that it could be considered. Jacques, I don't know if you wanted to.
Yes, that would be correct, because if it's directed provided, because it's within the CAO's approval of unbudgeted items, so it meets the threshold. So as long as council is supportive, we could go that route.
Okay, all right, and maybe I'll speak to the amendment. So, and I guess in some ways, what's being proposed in the amendment is that we would be investing in Curl Moncton in the sense of doing some modifications temporarily until such time as the center saw fruition. I think, though, would we not be better if we, first of all, understood from SCC exactly what their timeline is in terms of building, getting the Class B estimate? I'm certainly not opposed to incurring those costs at Crow Moncton. So I just don't know at the moment where we stand with that. I know that originally when Crow Moncton was put on the table as an option, it wasn't one that was very favorable to seniors. So I don't know how you feel now, but and there are a lot of things that would have to be done. So I'm just kind of wondering from a administration perspective, maybe getting through this evening, speaking to the individual seniors involved, and then coming back with what the next steps are, and if it is indeed that is required, then I think that might be the way to move it forward and to deal with what is here today. So I think at this point, without any more information on really what the $150,000 would even provide, I think I would prefer to remain with what we have in terms of the motion, and that we take a pause, and then if there is more information that's provided, then council could consider it. So, thank you. Merci.
Conseiller Léger, Conseiller Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thanks. I think the staff for all the work they've done in this file. It's been amazing, and also for the seniors committee. We've been back and forth and back and forth. Some people, it was a sad day when 1010 fell apart. I thought we had that. He would have been in it by now. But anyway, that's gone. I'm really happy that we're moving forward with this. The 1.7, I'll be voting for it the way it is. I think that what Councillor Crosman brought up, it could be another motion, but I don't think that should be part of this motion. I think a separate one. We've worked very hard to get this all in line, and I don't see any place in the background or anything that's really mentioning Curl Moncton. This was about 80 Limerick and the 1.7 to try to get the seniors where they want to be. I've talked to many of them, and I'll be honest, when it first started, I was in favor of Curl Moncton until I sat down and had coffee with a number of ladies that I got one long earlobe now. It was yanked quite hard at times. And even my wife says, listen, you better do something because I'm tired of answering the phone. So all in fun, though. We're very happy. I'm happy with what staff has brought forward. Councillor Crosman, Curl Moncton, that could be. But, at the last minute, and I don't know where the $150,000 would go, what repairs we would do. It's $150,000 if we got that. Down the road, the seniors committee at 80 Limerick might need some extra cash here and there. Hopefully not, but maybe so. I would sooner spend it on that building than to be putting, and I don't know where it's going. So I'll be sticking with the original one. Thank you, Your Worship.
Merci. I don't see any other question. I just want to thank everyone as well for being here this evening, for your dedication to this, and thank our staff. But I will be supporting the original motion. Thank you. Donc, on the amendment, so we will go to a vote. Is this electronic? It can be electronic. Yeah, okay. C'est bon? Ça veux-tu me dire combien de votes?
6 compte.
Okay, so the amendment did not pass, 6 against and 3 for the amendment. Merci.
And then now we vote on the original motion.
And now we will vote on the original motion.
Merci, Madame le maire. J'aimerais faire un autre amendement à la proposition originale, suite à la conversation, que on accorde au comité organisateur le solde qui reste, ou c'est peut-être mieux de dire 25 000 pièces, pour faciliter leur travail de préparation du terrain, de design architecturaux, etc. Sinon, je suis pas sûr que tout ça ne tomberait pas à l'eau, là. Ça fait, je vais faire cette résolution-là qu'on verse 25 000 au comité pour mettre ça sur pied.
So are you adding that to the original motion, Conseiller Bourgeois?
Oui.
C'est beau. So do I have a seconder for that? Go ahead, Conseiller Bourgeois. Do you want to explain to Conseiller Butler what you proposed?
Okay.
Oui.
Okay. There's no translation?
No, it's not this.
Oh, okay. I propose that we amend the original motion. I have no issues with the original motion, but that we add a council allocation of $25,000 to the committee to help it prepare architectural designs, applications for zoning, whatever it is that they need in terms of legwork. Otherwise, some of these things might be delayed until they find money.
Thank you. Thank you. Conseiller Léger, do you wish to second that?
No, Conseiller Butler just did. I just have a clarification, Councillor Bourgeois. Is it the $25,000 that's remaining from the seniors or from your council and contingency fund?
It'll be from the contingency
Okay.
because the amount has already been spent probably the following
Okay.
year or this
Okay,
year.
just
so-
wanted to confirm.
Yeah.
So, Conseiller Léger?
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I guess what I was going to say is, it doesn't matter if it's an amendment, but that was the intent of the direction to staff. So, I mean, as the mover, I mean, I certainly can add the budget for $30,000. I felt that just direction to staff was fine, but if the rest of council wanted to do it that way, I'm okay adding that as a line item to give them a budget up to $30,000 for those costs,
I said 25.
or $25,000 for those costs. See, I was being more generous, see? So,
One of us is running for mayor.
Donc,
That's a dig. There you go. So anyway, I'm okay with that, if the seconder is, and then we move on with the vote on the motion. Councillor Kingston, you're okay? All right. So a budget of 25,000.
okay. So, Conseiller Kingston, are you comfortable with that? You are? Okay, c'est beau. Donc, we will go to the vote. C'est bon? Merci. Motion carried unanimously. You're really welcome to stay if you wish. We have a few other items to deal with. So thank you so much for being here this evening.
Okay, the next item.
Yeah, okay. We will take a 5-minute pause, the 5 minute break. We will take a 5-minute pause.
5-minute pause, ça c'est bien.
Bon, oui. C'est plutôt chiant. Ça a bien été, hein, je pense. Hein?
Urbanis. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Sorry about that. The next item on the agenda is recommendations from the Crime Prevention Committee, and I believe that Councillor Legier is going to speak to this, crime prevention. Councillor Bourgeois or Councillor Legier? Councillor Legier, you have the floor. Crime prevention. Can you, thank you. Now you can go.
Okay. All right.
Conseiller Bourgeois, est-ce que vous voulez peser le bouton?
Moi, j'allais
Allez-y.
la recommandation.
C'est ça. Moi, je crois que c'est moi qui fais de la recommandation, mais après ça, je sais pas. We're discussing as to how to proceed on this. So I don't know. It comes from the committee. It's a recommendation from the committee, but if Councillor Leger and Councillor Kingston almost have to withdraw their motion before Councillor Leger can make this new motion. You know what I mean?
Can we modify the motion?
Well, I can just read it and then you move it.
Yeah, all right.
No, it was referred to
Was a
the
notice.
committee.
Yeah,
So
it was-
I will report what the committee discussed, and then Councillor Leger and Kingston will have to either withdraw their motion, move
Okay.
this, or whatever it
Yes.
is that they want to do. Anyways, this was referred to the council's Ad hoc Crime Reduction and Prevention Committee. We met on February 4th, myself, Councillor Leger, Councillor LeBlanc, and Councillor Butler, to discuss the motion, as referred to by council on February 2nd. We expressed a positive view of the motion. In regards to a dedicated downtown patrol, the committee explored the costs and benefits of three options: RCMP members, city bylaw officers, private security firms, before concluding that hiring the existing RCMP members to be paid through overtime would be the best option. In regard to the resiliency fund for downtown businesses, the committee agreed with the initiative, but made a few suggestions. Based on these considerations, the Ad hoc Committee on Crime Reduction and Prevention recommends the following: that council support the motion submitted by Councillors Leger and Kingston, but instead of be it resolved that the City of Moncton initiate a similar two-year pilot project beginning March 1st, consisting of dedicated downtown security patrols and to provide a community resilience fund to support small businesses, the motion will be modified as follows. Be it resolved that the City of Moncton administer a 8-week pilot project beginning March 1st, 26 and ending April 25th, 26, consisting of a dedicated full-time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, downtown security patrol service enforcement by regular Kodiak RCMP detachment members during their overtime at an approximate cost of $288,000 for the duration of the pilot project, and that the project specify and measure pertinent indicators according to the document, darn it, the document entitled Downtown High Visibility Safety Patrol Pilot. Be it further resolved that the pilot project be assessed according to the measurable indicators to be developed according to the document Downtown High Visibility Safety Patrol Pilot, and that a report of the assessment be submitted to council before May 31st, 26, in order to determine the feasibility of extending the project with or without modifications to other businesses of the city and to citizens. Be it further resolved that the City of Moncton provide up to, I have 280, but it's been changed to 250,000, to Downtown Moncton Centreville, Inc., to establish and manage a community resilience fund to support small businesses affected by recent criminal activities by, among other things, offsetting uninsured losses, including deductibles, and fund security improvements that reduce repeat victimization. And be it finally resolved that council fund the costs of the downtown patrol through the City of Moncton CRPA Surplus Deficit Reserve and the Resiliency Fund through the Council Contingency Fund. Good?
Looks good. I would
Merci.
move
Allez-y,
that
conseiller
recommendation as it was written out today.
J'ai pas compris, là.
Oh, I would move that recommendation.
Que cette recommandation.
Cette
c'est bien.
recommandation.
Ok, c'est
Oui,
beau.
oui.
Donc, we have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Conseiller Butler, you wish to second? C'est beau. Donc, are there any questions on this motion? I don't see any
Mr. what?
questions. Donc, c'est quoi les...
Councillors, you were to withdraw your motion prior to us moving the original. You were to withdraw, so if
So
you
I will withdraw the
You need-
the
okay.
initial motion with Councillor
Kingston.
Kingston's go ahead as well,
Okay, so-
and would move this motion as the new alternative motion,
Okay.
as recommended by the committee.
Merci. Any other questions on this?
Thank you.
If not, we will go to, oh, je vois pas, non. We will go to the vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Now we're going to go to planning matters, question d'urbanisme, and I believe that the CAO has something to say prior.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just wanted to, I guess, point out that we do have I believe it's four introductions this evening. Again, reminding folks, there's the introductions, it'll go to Public Advisory Committee, or Planning Advisory Committee, then back to council for public hearing. Just wanted to remind folks so that we have these introductions. You'll have a number of opportunities to provide, ask questions for clarity and so on as we go through the process in coming weeks as well.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Gérard. Bonsoir, Josh.
Okay, the first introduction this evening is an introduction for rezoning at 31 Killam Drive, and Josh Adams is here to do that presentation. Hit your button. I'll give you access.
Awesome. Now we're in business. Good evening, everyone. So first application up tonight is rezoning at 27 to 31 Killam Drive. So this one is a bit interesting. They do have an existing conditional zoning agreement on the property. However, some of the conditions have expired, so it really limits their ability to do new things. So the application before us today is actually to repeal the existing approval and to just allow the property to be within the suburban commercial zone as of right. The proposal is currently for basically what's going to be an 8-unit dwelling within an existing building that was converted. So the property is located just on the north side of Killam Drive, near the Killam Drive and Mountain Road intersection. So right near that kind of commercial cluster that you have in behind, there's a number of shops and services and entertainment uses in there. And right south of the property is Harrison Trimble High. So lots of stuff going on here. If you look at the properties, the zoning today, so that red zone that the properties are in is the suburban commercial zone. So those two properties are currently in that zone, and then all the properties to the north, bar that one, are in the commercial zone as well. And then the properties along the north side of Killam Drive, as you continue on, are all in the R3, the multiple unit dwelling zone. So there's a lot of, a mix of densities and a mix of commercial uses already established in this area. So the conditional zoning agreement was approved by council on the properties in 2015. This was originally intended to be a pizzeria and a convenience store. So the original proposal was that the existing building be converted into those uses. And there were a number of conditions that council approved with the rezoning in order to control the developments. That includes, making sure that development followed the site plan that was proposed at the time, as well as putting a condition of expiry as well. So essentially, if the development had not been completed within 2 years, the rezoning approval would expire along with that. However, we're here 11 years later. The development never materialized, so the uses were never brought into effect. The property has since been sold off to another owner, but even though we have a condition that says that the approval expires, we've never gone through the actual formal process to repeal the bylaw. So what we have is kind of a bizarre sort of holding zone where the conditional zoning agreement is still there. The conditions are still on the property, but development cannot proceed because we have a condition that says that everything's expired. So this is us basically bringing it through the appropriate process to repeal the existing conditions, and that would allow development to occur. And the reason why we're here is that this did come to us as a complaint, a bylaw complaint, that we investigated, in about September 2025. And the complaint was related to existing residential uses that had been converted in that building. There was a concern that the units were not safe. So obviously that's a very serious concern. And upon doing an inspection in September, we did notice that there were units that were created without a building permit, and many of the units were not meeting the building code. So we followed up very quickly with an order to comply to the property. And since we've sent that order, essentially the property owner has been, really willing to work with us. They really want to find a solution to this. And so our primary concern obviously is public safety for the people living in that building right now. So part of the work that's been done did include, they did a walkthrough with, I believe, the building inspector and the fire chief or the fire marshal. And there were some immediate things that were resolved, some immediate egress concerns as a result of that walkthrough. And basically what that found is that there's no real immediate safety concern now that that walkthrough has been done and those initial changes have been made. However, there's still some outstanding issues from a code perspective that need to be dealt with. So the property owner is now looking to come and apply for a building permit, but they can't apply for a building permit because the use is not permitted, and the use is not permitted because of the existing conditional zoning agreement that doesn't allow basically a new use. So we're here today to basically just help resolve this issue as quickly as we can. So this application would repeal the existing conditions. That way the property owner can come in, apply for a building permit, and that ensures that all the units are brought up to code as they should be. So this is the current proposal. Again, there's no new structures really proposed here. So you have just the existing building that would be converted into 8 units. And then, the parking would be in the rear. So the idea here is that, with the conditions that get removed from the property, essentially the development needs to follow the zoning bylaw standards for the suburban commercial zone. That zone does allow the multiple unit dwellings. And then the building itself needs to follow the National Building Code standards for safety. So we are recommending just a suburban commercial zone in this location. Overall, it is a good location for commercial uses. Again, it's an area with a lot of density. There's already commercial uses established in that area, and that intersection of Killam and Mountain Road, which we're very close to, is a pretty important one in the city. You have, the confluence of multiple transit lines that run at that intersection, so it is a good area to incentivize more commercial uses. So even though we're talking today about just allowing, the existing 8-unit to allow, to basically continue. What this would do in the future is that we wouldn't put any further conditions on the property so that in the future, if it were to develop for another purpose, it would do so according to the standards of the bylaw. So that is essentially the application that was received. So the recommendation for council tonight is to proceed with first reading to refer the bylaw to the Planning Advisory Committee, and we schedule a public hearing as well for March 16th. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. I need a mover and a seconder, Conseiller Butler and Conseiller Steves. Are there any questions on this? Conseiller Léger.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I'm just, on where the 2 properties exist now, there's a building in each property, right? So, but what the plan is showing is sort of almost like they're together, and then there's there's a green space. Does that mean in the eventual development, there will be the demolition of one property and then subsequent bringing the rest to code, and then that creates your parking, and then the street next to it is the entranceway to the bowling alley and so on?
So I believe the one property is vacant today.
Okay.
So there was another dwelling on it that was demolished in the last
so
couple of
they did-
years.
okay, I
Yeah.
see. Got
Yeah.
it. All right.
So it's currently being used as parking.
Okay, all right. Fair enough, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions, so we will go to the vote on that, which is electronic. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
The next introduction is an introduction to rezoning at 290 Church Street. And Josh is here once again.
Thank you. So this application for 290 Church Street, many folks might just know it here as the old Moncton High sports field. So we have another request, again, kind of similar to the previous one, where we're looking to actually amend an existing conditional zoning agreement to allow an interim construction staging area that's related to the Atlantic Science Enterprise Center that's under construction nearby on Université Avenue. The applicant in this case is the property owner, Heritage Developments. So the property is located here, just basically off Church Street, just south of Wheeler Boulevard. And just to the left of the screen, you can see the existing DFO building. So that is where the construction for the Atlantic, the ASEC building is taking place. So again, a very important building for the city that will bring, when it's completed, about 700 jobs at that location. However, as they're progressing with construction, there are some flexibility and some things that are needed in order to support the construction of that facility. The property today is currently zoned mixed use, and that was the result of a rezoning in 2017. So Moncton High, basically, which was built in 1934 and opened in 1935, had a sports field at 290 Church Street that was used for many years. So high school students would use that field for gym class and their purposes. And for a long time, it was the province that owned that field, so it was under public ownership, and obviously with that, a lot of community members made use of the field as well. In 2015, as we know, the province closed Moncton High permanently and then sold the school and the sports field to a private developer, Heritage Developments Limited, in 2017. Also in 2017, the council approved a conditional rezoning agreement that affected both the old Moncton High building as well as this sports field. So the idea of the agreement that was approved was that Old Moncton High would be rehabilitated, the asbestos and everything would be abated, and then we could, add some new uses into the building and breathe some new life. So whether it be new tenants of commercial or mixed uses or arts, whatever it is, that building could be reused. And with that, 290 Church Street was identified and approved as an off-site parking. So as the Moncton High building filled up and as parking spaces on the old Moncton High property filled up, there was an approval that would allow 290 Church to be converted into a parking lot to support the redevelopment of those uses. So that approval is still in place today. It's still in effect, and they would have the ability to convert this land into a parking lot. However, the only reason why it hasn't been is because the building, as we all know, Moncton High, unfortunately remains vacant today, and so they haven't met the conditions in the original agreement in order to develop a parking lot. But that approval is still valid. Fast forward to December of 2025, we did receive an application for a temporary use to allow a driveway that would connect the Vitalité parking lot over to Church Street. So this would be a temporary access that was needed. Currently, the Vitalité workers access their lot from University, but that access will need to close for about 2 years, and the closure is expected to start this spring, and the closure is directly related to the construction of the ASEC. So for 2 years, there's going to be a driveway that comes off Church Street to access the Vitalité parking lots. And so this was an approval that was granted in December. However, the temporary use, the PAC can only grant an approval for up to 12 months. And so this rezoning would allow the driveway to remain for the 2 years that it will be needed. It will also allow a broader staging area on the field if council wants to approve it. So here we can see the current proposal. So on the right-hand side is the ASIC under construction. If you can follow this kind of purple line that we see at the bottom of the screen, that would be the access to the staging area from Université for construction vehicles. So even though the access is being closed into the parking lots, there will be an access that remains for construction vehicles entering the staging area. And then on the other side of the screen, in orange or yellow, whatever color that is, coming in off Church Street, that would be the access into the Vitalité parking lot, which again is only temporary for about 2 years as the Université access is blocked off. Once the Université access reopens, this access from Church Street will be closed, and the staging area will continue to be accessed from Université as well. In terms of what's going to be proposed for the staging area, you're going to have a number of construction trailers, which you can see on the left-hand side. So these are essentially temporary offices for workers, contractors, that sort of thing. In the middle, we do expect some storing of equipment, whether that be mobile cranes, trucks, construction equipment, and other materials that would be stored as well. Prior to coming here this evening, the construction manager for the project, that is Pomerleau, did host an open house, and basically they wanted to gain resident feedback before coming to council for a rezoning. So we held an open house on February 4th. Notification was sent out by mail to 220, just over 220 property owners in the area that you can see on your screen there, bounded by red. So it's an area that is bounded by Wheeler to the north, Université to the west, Mountain Road to the south, and the CN rail line just east of Church Street to the east. We got pretty good attendance, I would say. 220 letters sent out. We got 17 people in the meeting. And we had also support from Public Services Procurement Canada, as well as the City of Moncton there to support. So some of the main pieces of feedback that we heard was, general support for the ASEC, and people really understand that it's an important project for the city. It's important to the local economy, and by all means, they want to see it occur. However, and not something that we weren't expecting to hear, but there's obviously concerns, specifically for the properties that are closest located to the staging area, about just, the types of things that you would expect to see with a construction site, whether that be noise, screening, traffic, that sort of thing. And then we also heard concerns from the neighborhood about, some of the existing and new traffic calming measures that we put in on Church Street, and whether that might be diverting some traffic into the neighborhoods, maybe inadvertently. So a traffic impact study was submitted for the temporary driveway to Church Street. So this is basically the driveway that's going to be open for about 2 years as the Université access closes. There's about 545 parking stalls that will be accessing this area off Church Street. What the traffic study found is that ultimately Church Street will be operating at acceptable levels of service during peak hours. However, there's a couple of tweaks that are being proposed just to help make things a little bit safer. So one would be a new left turn arrow at the Mountain Road and Church Street intersection to help the flow of traffic over to Botsford. And then another one, just given the sight lines from that Wheeler Street overpass coming over, would be to install a driver feedback sign. That's just a sign that flashes that tells you how fast you're driving, as well as a hidden driveway sign, so people are aware that there is going to be an intersection there. One of the other pieces of feedback that we heard from the open house that we did investigate was whether or not a temporary access or a temporary driveway could be made directly from the on-ramp from Wheeler Boulevard into the Vitalité parking lot. And it was felt that this could be, a remedy to potentially, alleviate some of the traffic that would be using Church Street as an option. So we did reach out to the Department of Transportation for a question on this. And just about 20 minutes before the meeting, we finally got a response. And the answer is basically they wouldn't be able to permit a driveway. They have legislative constraints that don't allow basically this type of driveway from a level 1 controlled access highway. So the only types of accesses that they can allow are for emergency uses or utilities, and this wouldn't meet that criteria. So certainly something we can follow up on. Again, just got that response, so it's not in the report, but we did reach out just as that was a comment that we heard that we thought might have some validity. And our transportation folks as well have said that they will do additional traffic calming analysis within the neighborhood and all the streets to see if there's any improvements that can be made in the next couple of years. In terms of, again, some of the main feedback we heard at the meeting was whether additional trees could be planted, specifically evergreen trees, to help provide a separation between the construction staging area and the existing homes. So in discussion with Pomerleau and the property owner, it was determined that they could provide an additional buffer. So they're looking to set the driveway back about 6 meters, and within that buffer, plant evergreen trees. So that would be 6 meters from the property line. So that's something that we've added in as a condition for approval. And then in terms of just, living next to a construction site, obviously it can be very disruptive, as I'm sure we've all, dealt with construction projects. But Pomerleau does have a number of very kind of strict operating conditions, such as dust control, noise control, and security measures on site as well. So as far as living next to a construction site goes, living next to a federal government contract is probably one of the best ones you can live next to. And then additionally, one of the conditions that we're going to be recommending is security from the applicant. So when the construction finishes, the idea is that this temporary approval will expire. So it's expected to finish in about 2032. So there's two scenarios that'll happen at the end when construction is finished. So either scenario one, which is that Moncton High is still vacant and therefore the owner does not meet their requirements to allow for an off-site parking construction. If that's the case when construction of the ASEC finishes up, then the existing field will need to be reinstated to its current state. So that means that the staging area has to be removed and the field sod needs to be put down and grass planted. So we're taking security in the amount of $342,700 to ensure that that does occur. The other option at the end, in 2032, when construction finishes, if Moncton High is bursting at the seams, they've got all their tenants and they're full, and they need additional parking, then they would be able to convert the staging area into a parking lot as per the previously approved rezoning condition. And in this case, the security would just be returned to the applicant because there'd be no need to reinstate the field. So with that, we'd recommend administration proceeds with this request. So that includes giving first reading of the bylaw, again referring the bylaw to the Planning Advisory Committee for their views, and setting a date for a public hearing of March 16th. And then we do have a number of conditions. The conditions are really just, we really want to make sure that the approval is tied to the construction of the ASEC. So once the construction finishes or a period of 8 years expires, the staging area needs to be removed. Again, we're going to take that security to ensure that the field will be reinstated if Moncton High is not full. And then just some other conditions related to the tree planting, local government service easement for any infrastructure that might be installed, and just generally following the plans as submitted. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh. Conseiller Crossman, do you wish to move the recommendation?
I do, Your Worship, and I have a question.
C'est beau. Conseiller Leblanc, would you second? C'est beau. Merci. Go ahead, Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Josh, just a quick question. I'm not really secure on the security amount. $342,700 is in today's dollars, and we're looking at 8 years down the road. So should I make an amendment to put this up to $500,000 for security? Because pricing's not going to go down anytime soon, and the abuse that field is going to take for setup may be very costly down the road. So I'm just curious. I see Renee's coming to the mic. And I don't know if I'm in the proper channels at this point, Mr. CEO, to even challenge this publicly, but I'm going to.
Thank you for the question and the valid concern. What we can do is just go back to the estimate, which was validated by the engineering team at the city, and just to make sure there was actually a construction cost index built in there. So it's a valid concern, and we can bring back that information because we are at the introduction here, so we do have time for that.
Okay, as long as you have time for that, that's why I'm throwing this out now. I just find it's a small amount over 8 years, especially when you're coming to some sort of land. I guess putting it back in the original state is what we're looking at. So if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate that.
For sure.
Great, thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Bourgeois. Conseiller Bourgeois.
J'ai compris, Butler. Merci pour la présentation. I'm just curious, is this the regulating hours of work from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.? Is that the regular time that we encourage construction, or nobody raised any stink about it so far?
Thank you for the question. So that's not something that we're regulating for this specific project. I think the city does have a noise bylaw that would include hours of construction, which I'm not sure offhand what it would be. But for this project specifically, they're proposing to just work within those hours of 7 to 5, Monday to Friday.
I'll leave it there. We'll see what the Public Advisory Council on the hearing will say, but I don't know if I'd be happy to get woken up at 7 a.m. We'll see. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, Conseiller Richard.
Merci, Maire Asterio. 7 a.m., that would be sleeping in for me, so. Josh, I'm just wondering, I mean, you don't have to answer this, but in my head, I'm wondering, what was their alternative for Vitalité parking, the employees that are parking there? I mean, without this, and they have to block that other end off, what was their, I'm always wondering, what was their alternative without this?
Yeah, certainly. So a number of alternatives were looked at. There's different points of access to the Vitalité lot through the neighborhood. So through like Ralph Street, through Henry, Lutz Street. So there's actually direct access through those areas that we looked at as well. But, you know, this was happened, you know, last year before it went to PAC. So there was multiple alternatives that were examined. Some of them, you know, just public land basically, so they wouldn't need a private property owner. But it was felt that, you know, this access from Church Street would have the least amount of impact on the neighborhood. And that's why, you know, we finally selected that option.
And I appreciate that because I couldn't see anything else. Along the lines of Conseiller Bourgeois, the timelines and the noise, will we know what kind of noise monitoring will be happening? What do they have? Do they have something that will be, tools that will be monitoring that noise, or?
Yeah, so they actually have noise, like decibel meters that read noise on site. So that's something that they monitor frequently. And then they're limiting basically their construction vehicle traffic to 10 kilometers an hour. So just on site, everything should be calm and slow. And then they have decibel readers as well. So if things start to get too noisy, that's something that the construction manager will follow up on and address.
I won't ask you for what decibels where they are accepting, but I hope that you guys are going to follow that. I'm hoping in the next presentation that there's a set of traffic lights at the corner of, or at Church Street where they're going to come out. I'm not sure that I agree with just a stop sign and some added flashing lights at the top of the hill on the overpass. I don't feel that's going to be enough, but that's just a personal opinion. I found another alternative, and I'm not sure, I might not make any friends in that neighborhood, but Henry Street from Mountain Road goes straight to that property. If you bring it up on the map, there's an opening, probably the same width as Henry Street, that could go up through there, if that's an option or not. I'm not asking you tonight, but I think that should be looked at. That would be another option for people to come in and out of, not just, so you're not congesting at the corner of Church Street. And c'est tout, merci.
Merci.
Merci, Conseiller Richard. I don't see any other questions, so we will go to the vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
The next is une introduction de zonage et de modification du plan municipal pour la promenade Checker, and I see Josh is here again.
Thank you. We're getting through it for sure. So this was another application that we've received on behalf of Casey Concrete Limited for their site just off of Barry Mills Road and onto Checker Drive. So this is to redesignate a portion of the property from community use to industrial, as well as to rezone a portion of the property from open space and conservation to industrial park. This application will basically accommodate their existing facility, and as they look to expand and do outdoor storage and other things, provides a little bit more flexibility with their site. So the property is located here just off Checker Drive, which is just off of Edinburgh Drive. It's a very short street, Checker Drive, so if you're not familiar with it, that's all right. The property does have quite a bit of frontage as well onto Barry Mills Road. So you can see that there's already an existing industrial operation here. They're essentially looking to expand, do more outdoor storage, that sort of thing. And you'll see on the zoning map on the right-hand side, there is that P2, which is a community use. It was identified as a wetland that was picked up on mapping, which is the reason why it was zoned into that community use. Upon subsequent, actually, like on the Boots delineation and comments from the Department of Environment and Local Government, it was determined that it's not a wetland that they regulate, so it's under a certain size, and essentially there's absolutely no regulation stopping the infill of that wetland. So with that, basically they've applied to change the zoning as well to just consolidate it to industrial. That would allow a more orderly expansion of the site. With that application, there's also a change that needs to happen to the generalized future land use map. So we're into a municipal plan amendment, which adds us an extra step. So both the zoning map and the generalized future land use map have picked up that environmental feature. But again, we're looking to remove that and just zone it to industrial. And then on the right-hand side, we're actually looking at a future road. So this is still conceptual, but if we're looking, long-term down the road, Checker Drive, if you were to draw a straight line, as we have on the screen, and continue to the left-hand side, you would end up at, I believe it's Debrise. And so that's a future road connection that we're looking to do. So we've talked to the applicant, and basically for right now, we're going to update. We have a future roads map in the municipal plan that shows that there's an intended connection to come through this property. And we've talked to the applicant, and they're amenable to just not putting a permanent building in that area where we think the future road will go. So this is an update that we'll do just as we're already into a municipal plan amendment for the environmental feature. And this is the site plan that was submitted. So again, you can see some storage going into where the wetland was delineated. And again, the delineation is very different than what the mapping shows, which is quite common. So consolidating the property to industrial, again, just allows more options for development of the site. And with that, we'd recommend that we proceed. So that includes giving first reading of the bylaw, setting a public presentation on March 16th, going to the Planning Advisory Committee, and then setting a public hearing for April 20th. And we just recommend one condition, again, related to that future road, that just no permanent building be located where we think that future road might go. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you again, Josh. Councillor Butler, did you wish to move the recommendation? Okay. Councillor Steves, you wish to second? Go ahead, Councillor Butler.
Thank you. It is in Ward 2, just to let you know, but I'm sure you know that already. But it's close to Ward 3, it'll affect us. Josh, the only thing that I would ask is that there's no, with all this storage that's going to be in the back, I don't see any traffic plan in this. Has there been a traffic plan done?
There's not been a traffic impact study done for this one, and just given the volume of traffic, I guess, wouldn't warrant a study necessarily here.
Well, it seems like there's going to be a lot of storage, so for sure there'd be more than what we have right now. And there's always an issue with people trying to get out of Checker Drive onto Edinburgh Drive to get to especially the big trucks. So I'm just wondering that if they would think about maybe moving that driveway, even if it's back farther. Is that their property that goes back farther? There's a couple other PI numbers there, or PID numbers on, that would be just south of Checker Drive.
Yeah, maybe if we could bring up the presentation again, if I could just see that site plan.
Yeah, it's always going to, you don't have to bring anything up. I'm just saying that when it comes to back to council, I'd like to know what the traffic impact study would be, if there was one done. If not, maybe we should, because, I mean, that place is really packed now at peak times with people coming in and out.
Yeah.
And that driveway where it is, it's a bad place anyway. It was never, I don't think it was designed for the future. Checker Drive was ever meant to be that much traffic coming in and out. So I'll leave that with you and go from there.
No, thank you for those comments, and we agree, and we've done certainly previous traffic studies on Barry Mills, and obviously, yeah, there's a lot of queuing, a lot of congestion, certainly at peak hours, so we're aware that upgrades are going to be needed in that general vicinity, so we can have another look from a traffic perspective as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bourgeois.
Merci, Madame la Maire. I hope Councillor Butler is not thinking of invading parts of Ward 2 and calling it Greenland, but here's my question. I was surprised by the presence of a part of the land designated as community use in the middle of an industrial park. So I'm assuming that it goes back a heck of a while, but do you have any idea when and why this was designated as a community use within that area?
Yeah, it would have been designated when the municipal plan was originally created, so that would have been 2011, 2012, 13, in that time. So the strategy of the day was essentially these wetland, these features that we had mapping for, got put into a community use zone or community use designation and then a P2 zone in order to try to, add some additional protection. However, mapping changes over time, and so, we have our mapping and zoning, and then GONB goes and they update based on, new methodology, so our mapping very quickly becomes out of date. And then when you get someone actually to go on the ground is when you get the real ground truthing of where this wetland actually is. And so in this case, it's a wetland that's not connected to another water course, it's a wetland it's very small, so it's not something that the Department of Environment regulates at all. They say you can go ahead and fill it, you don't need a permit, and, it's not something that they regulate. So in this case, we're going to make the change, or proposing to make the change over to industrial.
So this does not present a significant issue?
Not from our perspective.
Okay. And do you know if there are other, I assume, lots or parcels that are designated a community use in the middle of MID lots?
There are, and I believe we've treated similar applications previously on different industrial lots across the city. And if you were to look at just the zoning map or just the generalized future land use map, you'll see a bunch of, isolated green parcels. So that's that original provincial mapping that was picked up back, 15 years ago when the plan was made. A lot of that is out of date at this point. So it's something that we're looking to update as well with the new municipal plan and zoning bylaw.
Okay, so you have addressed it to the planning committee?
This will be presented to the planning committee, like the planning advisory committee or the municipal plan committee, sorry.
Well, the committee that is reviewing the municipal plan.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a topic that's been discussed yet, but if it not, it will be, yeah.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire.
Merci. I don't see any other questions. We will go to the vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Next item is an introduction to the municipal plan amendment and rezoning at 280 Salisbury Road, and Josh is here once again.
Thank you very much. Last one for me. So just another application, essentially for a rezoning and a municipal plan amendment. This one on Salisbury Road, and the rezoning and the plan amendment are to accommodate a new 3-story, 36-unit apartment building with 44 parking spaces. So the property is located on the south side of Salisbury Road, just kind of near the intersection of Edinburgh Drive. Previously, the property used to have a church on it, so there's a church and a parking lot that you can see on the imagery. I think the church has been demolished now, so it's just a parking lot. And essentially, the property was zoned in this community use zone because it was a church. Again, however, the properties have changed hands, and now someone's looking to develop an apartment building, and so that's why the rezoning is required. So the proposed zone would be into the R3 zone that you can see on your right-hand side. And then similar to the last application, there is a community use designation on the property. This community use designation is more specific to the fact that it was previously a church as opposed to wetlands, even though there are some wetlands on the property as well as you get to the south of the property towards the Petitcodiac River. So this is the proposed design. So again, 3 stories, 36 units. It's a pretty, that kind of low to medium scale. And here's the proposed site plan. So on the bottom right-hand side, you can see some kind of lines swirling about. That is actually provincially significant wetland. And then there's a 30-meter buffer of that, that if you just kind of follow, it just touches the bottom of the parking lot. It doesn't go in it, but it's just nearly there. So that is the regulated buffer that Department of Environment regulates. And so all the proposed development is staying outside of that buffer. So we've contacted the Department of Environment and Local Government for comments on this. They are okay with the proposal. They've sent some conditions to the applicant just to follow, just in case, to make sure that they're not getting too close to that 30 meters. But from an environmental perspective, there's really no concern with the wetland with this proposed development. So essentially, you can see here as well on Salisbury Road, there is access to transit, but there's not currently a sidewalk on this side of Salisbury Road. So the building has a front door on the left-hand side with a walkway. And in discussion with the applicant, there's opportunities to connect to a future sidewalk if ever that gets developed, which, as we see more and more applications come through, might not be too far off into the future. So with that, there's both, again, the zoning and the municipal plan that need to be amended to accommodate this application. So we recommend that you proceed, and that includes giving first reading of the bylaws, setting, again, that public presentation stage for March 16th, referring the bylaw to the Planning Advisory Committee, and setting a public hearing for April 20th. And so we are also recommending a number of conditions for this site. So largely just allowing, there's a small parking variance reduction of 1 space that would be required. They just really can't fit any more parking given the environmental constraints and the shape of the lot. And then just a few other conditions related to making sure that they're sticking to the proposal that they've provided. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you again, Josh. I need a mover and a seconder. Conseiller Bourgeois, Conseiller Léger. Wish to move and second. C'est beau. Merci. Any? Oh,
Yeah.
Conseiller Léger.
Yeah, so I have a question. Will there be better drawings of what the building looks like? It currently really looks like it's not very attractive. And I know they want to maximize, but to me, that doesn't hold up. So we'll see what the Planning Advisory Committee says, but to me, that reminds me of, well, I don't think positively when I see a building like that. I just see no imagination, and so anyway, those are my comments. I would have thought that Councillor Bourgeois mentioned, in passing, you would have thought they would maximize the view of the river and so on. It almost looks like you're just trying to put as much housing as you possibly can, and I'm not so sure that that's the direction that we want to go all the time. So I'll leave it at that and wait for the comments to come back, but right now, hopefully, it could look better and make it more attractive in terms of approval process.
Certainly. Thank you for those comments. We can look into that. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Merci. I don't see any other questions, so we'll go to the vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
The final planning matter coming before council is a public presentation for rezoning Vision Lands, and I believe that Jim Scott and Josh Davies are here to do that presentation.
Bonsoir, Jim.
Just swipe on this. On yours. Just right there. Yeah. Once it gets out there.
Good evening. Yeah, so in a similar style to what we did at the introduction, I'll provide a few administrative points and then turn it over to Jim. And appreciating that this is such a big file with a lot of different parts to it, rather than stand up here for an hour and a half and talk about the totality, we've tried to break it up into specific sections. So this presentation will differ a little bit from what we did previously, and Jim will talk a lot about the regional park and infrastructure and ultimately how we're going to get people moving around in this area. But when we get time, if there are questions, we can certainly jump into any part of the plan that council would like to discuss. So again, this is an evolution of a plan that dates all the way back to 20 years now, in 2006, when the original concept plan was approved, and that was subsequently updated in 2011. And that current secondary plan, as it exists today, is very aspirational and acts as a guide to what may be possible in the Vision Lands. The proposed secondary plan, through a lot of hard work and review from a lot of partners and a lot of players, has resulted in a product that we feel will assist turning those aspirations into our reality. So in terms of where we're looking here, you'll see, again, bordered by Mapleton at the west, the Trans-Canada to the north, McLaughlin to the east, and Morton Avenue to the south near to the Université de Moncton. This is the Vision Lands in terms of the overall product. It is centrally located. It's approximately 570 hectares in size and would be one of the largest, if not the largest, remaining lands within our serviceable boundary that could be slated for development. It's separated by the north branch of Halls Creek, which Jim will be touching on in a couple of future slides, and the majority of the land currently zoned in this area is R2. So that two-unit dwelling, which is sort of acting as a base layer for our zoning before we can come in and effectively master plan it, as we have proposed to do today. So in terms of the intent of this planning exercise, was to review and replace the current secondary plan. As council is aware, we were able to partner with the landowners within the Vision Lands West to create a master planned area for that specific precinct, of which there are 3, including the UDM precinct, the Vision Lands East precinct, and the Vision Lands West, which we'll be looking at as part of a rezoning as a part of this overall approval process. And what we really needed to drill in on here that was of need for the city and for the landowners was infrastructure, land for public purposes, so green space, how people ultimately are moving other than being in their vehicle, zoning, and the exploration or creation of a regional park. So within the Vision Lands West, we're enabling several land uses, again, trying to accommodate as many needs and amenities as can be provided in such a large area, ultimately with the goal of the residents being able to access these areas through other means other than their private vehicle. So I guess a target and what we looked at was to say if you were getting in your vehicle 10 times for 15 minutes a day, we want to knock that down to 1 or 2 in this area because all the things that you need are located here and we have the size to accommodate it. We're looking at a high residential unit yield, can accommodate a substantial amount of our projected growth through the urban growth strategy and beyond. Creates a new mixed-use zone, which we've called for now the core mixed-use zone along a proposed east-west corridor that will connect from Mapleton essentially down to Morton Avenue and the gateway to the Université de Moncton. We're focusing on connectivity. We've identified lots of things in advance, and school sites being one, where we've been able to have some productive conversations with the province on their interest and what they may be able to facilitate in this area. And really important, and as part of a selling feature of this with the western area and beyond, is that multimodal pathway and integration to access the proposed regional park. Document structure, as we mentioned before, we have that overall secondary plan, which kind of provides the overarching policy across a range of subjects in terms of what is intended to be the outcome of this area as it develops and things that planning and developers really need to take into consideration as shovels hit the ground. We have then broken it out into 3 separate precincts, which effectively will act as chapters within the plan that are area specific, that being the Vision Lands West, which is a part of this approval process, and the Vision Lands East and Université de Moncton, which will come when they are ready, and a component of the regional park as well, which was a very popular topic of discussion when we were working through our public engagement. So in terms of amendments, there's a lot to this in terms of existing documents. So we have rezoning for the Vision Lands West precinct. We're looking at an amendment to the zoning bylaw. As I mentioned, we are creating a new zone. With that comes development standards and lot requirements. We're looking at a height precinct. So similar to Station Yards, we're looking at kind of allowing height in certain areas and allowing it to change and not be just a flat rate. We're looking at ground floor commercial requirements. And lastly, we're looking at municipal plan amendments to update the future land use map with respect to what is anticipated across all of these zones in the Vision Lands, specifically the west on this one, and updating our future road network to reflect the infrastructure requirements that we have identified to open these areas up. This is the last slide for me, and then Jim can razzle-dazzle you. But we did do a lot of public engagement on this, especially at the outset of the project. Some really successful events that were a packed house, and I know a lot of council members were there to talk around the Vision Lands. Held them at the Mapleton Lodge, which was very effective because effectively it is immediately next door, and it felt like you were in a park. And the regional park, as I mentioned, being a big topic of conversation, a lot of really good ideas flowed from those sessions, and some that have been incorporated into the plan today. And again, as media coverage, I think from the time this was incepted in 2006, there's always been lots of media interest in the Vision Lands and when is it going to happen and how is it going to happen. And we're hoping here through this process that we do have some of the answers and a very, very viable path forward. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim, and I will be back to wrap up and take any questions. Thanks.
Good evening, Your Worship and Councillors. Thank you for having us this evening. The last time we met, during the introductory part of this, you were introduced to the plan and the fact that we had between 14 and 16,000 new residents built into a master planned area, and also the fact that would bring us about somewhere in the range of 40,000 new residents in this area. So it's very important that we made as much of the lifestyle, daily lifestyle of residents built into our master plan. As Josh alluded to, that we want this to be a place where it is as complete a community as possible. Shopping, your daily lifestyle requirements, your activity, your recreation, your social movement and social relationships all be built into the master plan. So the master plan is all about creating a comprehensive product along those lines. Also, we're very, very mindful to the fact that we don't want to go back in and retrofit the community in the future, that the basic structure of the plan holds well, that the parks network is built in, the commercial network is built in, and we don't have to go in to look for park space in the future, that we're all very forward about how we did that. What I'm going to focus on tonight is largely on the parks and connectivity network and some of the infrastructure required that will be built into the master plan to ensure that we're connected within the neighborhood and connected moving away from our neighborhood or neighborhoods in this case. We do have a very well-connected parks network, and I just brought that up on the slide. Previously, sorry Josh, I'm not, your paper's off here. Previously, you were shown the notion of 3 different neighborhoods. Each one of those neighborhoods was spoken to you in terms of what their role is within the overall master plan area. What I'm going to talk briefly about is how our parks network connects into each one of those areas. So we do have a core area, core commercial, core high-density residential area that we bring our parks network into. So our parks network, although it is meant to be, it's a very powerful recreation and social tool unto itself, it's also a community component of each one of the neighborhoods that it goes into. We also have a neighborhood that is all about recreation, lifestyle, and academic living. This is the east side, the east neighborhood of our master plan, where we have located our schools, our recreation centers, and is where the largest connected piece of park space is located. Finally, the third neighborhood that you looked at last time is a lot about workforce living, the opportunity to live in an area where you are moving in and out of an area into the city for work reasons or family reasons on a daily basis. And we bring trail networks and active transportation systems into those neighborhoods to ensure they have good connectivity. So although they may not live right inside of a park, they would be very close to a park and would have connectivity. And a good portion of their life is leaving the neighborhood to go to work. So we provide a different lifestyle context. In terms of what we're building and how we're connecting all this, one of the core components that we began with was the Panakity Trail, which I've just brought across the screen there. And we've taken that, we've placed that within the plan. It moves from the university lands and further down, of course, across toward Mapleton Park. And we've ensured that we have connectivity from the Panakity Trail up into our development through the core areas of our parks network. So in one case, if we look at the top of the screen, we go along a hydro line, and the core park area to the east side of the screen carries trails that connect us to Panakity, so we can get across the city, and ensuring that this is a natural type environment, and we tend to move forward with design concepts that retain that character and identity in the trail network of this area. That connectivity further reaches into our neighborhoods along several either parks or purpose-built trails within our neighborhoods. So we have a grid neighborhood model in place, and our trail connectivity ensures that we go along with that. Extending from this parks network and this trail network, we connect with an east-west connector that, as Josh alluded to, was where we have our separate trails along the edge of the street. We have a multimodal trail, and this is a very important asset and is really the key to unlocking all the vision lands, is this and the services contained in that road. The extension of that goes into neighborhoods with additional active transportation network pieces. So overall, there is a connectivity model that includes trails that go through park networks. There are trails that go independent of parks but move through neighborhood areas through backyard trails or side yard trails. And there's also active transportation pieces that are themselves trails along the edge of streets and sometimes incorporated into streets. So we have a broad transportation network. Again, that piece at the bottom, the east-west connector, is an important piece. What's really important about our parks network here, and I think this was brought up, I noticed in the questions from last time, is that we have a responsibility when we are building parks now to build park spaces that we are able to sustain. So we know that a lot of our parks are presently under some stress in being able to get access to good, healthy water and root systems. So the park network that we have built here includes the collection of stormwater from adjacent development areas, bring it into our parks so we ensure that we're able to sustain our forest cover that we have within our parks and retain that natural character. To that park piece, now our overall park piece is about 250 acres in size. So that's quite comparable to what we have throughout the city relative to regional parks. So if we compare that, to example, to Centennial Park, that's 216 acres. The Riverfront Park is at 214. Not fair to compare, but we'll anyway, quickly. I'll go back to that. Sorry, Irishtown Nature Park, which is over 2,000. In fact, this is Canada's second largest municipally owned nature park, just barely beat by a few acres by one in British Columbia. And then right beside us is Mapleton Park, 227 acres. So we are in size very similar to the rest of our regional parks that serve adjacent neighborhoods. We've always anticipated that Mapleton Park and this park will work together as one really great park address, providing similar assets and similar character to residents. So we've been, we just want to make sure that you had an understanding of how the Parks Network was developed, that it was the foundational and backbone to our network and our structure of all of our neighborhood addresses, the Parks Network, because we know this was a very important piece starting out. Our zoning plan, as well as our neighborhood structure plan, understands that we have opportunity adjacent to our parks. So to make sure that we get the zoning targets that we need to get to, that we're able to get an entire development that approaches 50 units per acre, we've developed a modified zoning plan that ensures that it capitalizes on higher density areas in areas adjacent to streets or areas adjacent to parks where there's an opportunity to live on and over the park. And then several other types of residential units spread throughout our three neighborhoods. The structure plan, and again, I'm going to make this point about the east-west collector. This is a very important component of our plan, and Josh has been working very hard on establishing the administrative foundation to that and beginning to look at some of the potential funding opportunities to building that. But this is the key to unlocking our plan. We are fortunate that through our lands for public purpose, as well as the purchase of some land, we can get our parks to that 250 acre size that we really want to get this to and establish the type of community that we want to live in. So Josh, I'll let you wrap that up.
Thank you, Jim. And just so, because this is a public presentation and there's still more work to be done, tentatively planning to go to the Planning Advisory Committee next week. So the recommendation at this stage is that Moncton City Council proceed with the listed amendments, and that we are confirming our public hearing for April 7th of 2026. So we'd be happy to take any questions, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh, for your presentation, and Jim, for yours as well. Councilor Richard, you wish to move the recommendation?
And I'd have a comment.
Okay, good. Looking for a seconder, seconded by Councilor Bourgeois. Councilor Richard.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thanks for the plan. Great presentation. Jim, you're always on it. And I find it such a thorough and positive way to go forward and kind of keep future councils out of this, maybe some unnecessary rezoning in the future. So I think this is really great plan. When we talk about green infrastructure, Jim, when you brought up that all of a sudden there was a wave of green that came up on the screen. I love the way you do that. Incorporating green spaces and vegetation. I hope we can protect as much as possible that's already there, because your green was going over the map and you could see the trees that are still physically there. And just hoping that we make sure that we keep as many as we can there. That's all. My sleep.
Thank you, Councilor Richard. Councilor Legier.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I'm just wondering, in the concept of the build-out, are there opportunities for condos, for people to own something as opposed to simply renting? That seems to be missed on everything that we see being built in Moncton, and whether that's a cooperative approach, but to give people who, you know what, it becomes their starter home, but it's a 3 or 4 bedroom apartment, and also speak to the concept of having 3, 4, 5, bedroom apartments that are feasible for people to be able to live their entire life if they wish to, as they do in Europe.
Yeah, the plan right now is at sort of that 5,000-foot level stage, but zoning has never been a precluder of a condo or a rental. It's more or less what the market decides to build. So in this case, if we have downtown zoning in the CBD or in the R3 zone, those could easily be condos. It's just a matter of whether or not the developers in the market can support it. I would suspect that if ownership becomes less and less, that a condo type market may be more feasible, because that ultimately what is affordable for people who want to own. So in this case, we also have a lot of low density zones where you could build a single unit dwelling. You may be into a situation where you could have a 4-unit condo in those low density zones. And some of these larger developments, similar to a 5-5 Queen, may end up having a mix of rentals and condos. Just depends on what that developer at the time is willing to build. But really, it's from a zoning perspective, we would not be moving towards a rental versus ownership type model. The zoning provides for all the housing typologies, and then depending on when the shovel hits the ground, they're either condos or rentals, depending on the market and that developer.
Perhaps that needs to be rethought as well, though. I went to a screening of a documentary on different types of housing throughout Canada, and they keep citing the success in Toronto, the success of, and I don't know exactly what streets they were and so on, but the crux of it was that you have an area where you have a variety of different people who live with very different lives, but they all live together, from people who with affordable housing to people who have $2 million condos and so on. And I think we need to think about that. And no, it isn't something we've ever done, but it doesn't stop us from looking at what other municipalities have done. And I think for this to be successful, I hope that we start to think about that, and we start to move policies forward in that regard, as opposed to just saying, well, we're just going to wait for what the developers build. We're seeing that now. We're seeing an awful lot of extra apartment buildings being built. We're seeing the vacancy go up, which is great, not so much for the developers who are building the apartments. And so, there doesn't seem to be much purpose, but yet there's a big demand for people who would like to have perhaps share in a duplex, or share in a fourplex and stuff like that. So yeah. I would hope that urban planning and city staff could be at the forefront and move some of those ideas forward. So I just leave it at that, because I think that the overall design and the vision is great. I just think it's going to be on the how you deliver that in the future that is going to define our municipality and define that growth in the future.
Yeah, I suspect that the good timing here is, assuming this plan gets through an approval, we'll be going through the municipal plan review, which will really provide that policy direction that we may not have needed 11 or 12 years ago. So I would suspect that as part of our big moves conversation or around that shift towards policy with respect to housing, that's likely something that's going to come up, because I think, as we're aware, that gap is probably not going to be bridged within the next few years. So I suspect it will be a major point of I guess, of direction and discussion as we work through the municipal plan review and the new zoning bylaw.
Merci, Conseiller Léger. Conseiller Kingston.
No, that was originally to,
Oh, vous n'avez pas de question? Ah, OK. Conseiller, ça va. Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Maire. Merci beaucoup, Josh. 3 questions. I appreciate that in the council report form, there's an item for consideration called social inclusion. So I've asked that for a number of years, and I'm really happy to see it. However, I guess my question is, who decides if it's not applicable? Because question that Councillor Léger just raised about integrated or affordable housing is social inclusion-based discussion, in addition to being good land use planning. So why did you determine that there was nothing about social inclusion worth considering in this project?
I would say, and Elaine might jump in, and hopefully I cover most of it, is I think we're not necessarily at that level yet. I think where we're looking at social inclusion with respect to zoning is something that we would really need to study. So I was hesitant to put anything down that was overly direct if we don't have the policy direction at this stage from a zoning perspective and a land use perspective to support it. But I would suspect that a social inclusion plan as it relates to urban planning and a study of what's happening in other cities of a similar size, and maybe cities that are larger than ours, and ideas and things that we can take inspiration from, will be something that will have to be incorporated. Just at this stage, personally, I didn't feel comfortable kind of trying to either mandate. The opportunities will be there for affordable housing and other components of social inclusion, but at this stage, I think once we get a little more solidified in what our approach will be for that as a municipality, whether through a study or an assessment, would be the time to really kind of flesh that out based on good policy, that then I would, in the future, that social inclusion component will be spoken to in a better position than I can today.
So will it be considered as part of the municipal plan or subdivision developments, or?
I would say you would lend the policy from the municipal plan, and the municipal plan policy will reflect what the standards of the zoning bylaw are. So if there are social inclusion tools that we can incorporate into our zoning bylaw, because that actually will detail what is required. So when we're coming forward with a development, just as we would have setbacks, just as we're studying inclusionary zoning, for example, as a part of this municipal plan review process, anything that council is willing to incorporate as a rule should sit in the zoning bylaw. However, it should have guidance from the municipal plan with respect to policy, so that we're not kind of just pulling it out of thin air. It's a policy of council that has resulted in these changes to the zoning bylaw to include a social inclusion component wherever council would see fit.
Okay, I'm just making sure that it's not forgotten, because there's going to be an election in a couple of months. Maybe all of us will be gone, maybe, that kind of stuff. All right, merci. Second question, in the document, j'ai lu le document en français, la version en français. Je ne sais pas quelle page que c'est, mais c'est à un moment donné, on dit, lors de discussions tenues avec le conseil scolaire local, 2 emplacements possibles ont été désignés pour la construction d'écoles. On a 2 conseils scolaires. Je veux juste m'assurer que vous consultez les 2 conseils scolaires.
C'était avec la province. Là, c'est le conseil que je devrais être, je pense que c'était avec la province.
Ah, OK.
Alors, c'était peut-être une école anglaise ou français. Alors, c'est une location sur la côte ouest de Vision. Alors, il y a des opportunités sur la côte est aussi, au futur. Yeah.
OK. Donc, ça dit d'abord le conseil scolaire. C'est la
province.
Oui,
la province, yeah.
OK.
Yeah.
All right. Parfait. Merci. Et on doit se fier à la province de protéger les 2 groupes linguistiques. Merci. Troisième et dernière question, et c'est peut-être semblable à la première. At what point would we incorporate or require force developers to conduct what is called crime prevention through environmental design, CPTEDs. Is it, again, when it comes down further down the line, when there's subdivision development, or is it something that we can sort of impose? Because I think it's to the advantage of everybody, including developers, that we design developments to minimize the risk of crime.
It's becoming more of a, I guess, a popular topic, especially in established areas. But what I would say, again, similar, is that if the city comes forward with guidelines similar to what we do for subdivision standards and roads, that if there are going to be in the future, something similar for CPTED, I know that we're talking around incorporating some of those into the downtown as we move forward. That'll be something that constantly evolves, and by the time that east-west collector starts to get built, we'll probably be in a better position to identify those things, whether it's on public or private property, because there's roles to play between, I would say, the two, not just one or the other.
OK, merci beaucoup, Josh.
Merci.
Jim. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci. Donc, so we have a motion that's been moved and seconded, and we can now, there are no questions, we'll go to the vote. Merci. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Merci.
Next would be statements by members of council, les exposés des membres du conseil.
Conseiller Léger.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Just two things. I just wanted to congratulate the Boys and Girls Club on they hosted the Black History Month get-together on Friday, and it was really well attended, and certainly put a lot of emphasis on sharing ideas, and it was really nice to see, and certainly there was a lot of enjoyment within everyone who participated. And then as well, I just want to congratulate staff on the Polar Fest and the Barbagazi, which is the I guess the snowmobile version of motorcycles that do tricks and so on, and do acrobatics. It was quite interesting and really well attended. I was really surprised, I guess, in some ways it's because it was quite cold on Friday, but there were well over 400 or 500 people on both times, and certainly Centennial Park with its large polar bear that frames the entrance to the bridge was a great addition, and I don't think I've ever seen as many children and adults tobogganing. And I have to say, it was really nice to see, and how people were enjoying it, and also the skating area was really well taken care of, and as usual, staff went way beyond. So I just wanted to say it was ideal as well for weather. So everything, it ticked off all the boxes, and certainly I think people by and large skating at the Avenir Center and getting free hot chocolate were very impressed. So merci au personnel and everybody involved. Merci.
Merci, Conseiller Léger. Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. My only comments this evening are to Mr. CAO. At the January 19th and February 2nd public council meetings, I publicly requested that the chair of the Kodiak Regional Policing Association come before council to provide an update on the recent changes with the CRPA. Has this happened, or where are we at with regards to my request?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. So at this point in time, we've already had a meeting with the mayor and the chair of the CRPA, the new chair. They are presenting to the Tri-Community Council meeting next week, and a future meeting with the entire council here in public is being scheduled.
So knowing that the tri-community meetings are held, I'm not going to say in private, well, they are in private, they're amongst councils. Will we get a time frame in that as to when the new CAO, or sorry, the new manager will come to present here at council?
The chair?
Yeah, the chair.
Yeah, absolutely, we will.
Okay, good. I'll follow up again at the next public meeting. Thank you.
Merci. Conseiller Kingston.
Thank you, Madame. Merci, Madame. Well, it's just to congratulate, I think we all, I'm not sure if her venues are over at the Winter Olympics, but Courtney Sarreau with a couple of silver and a bronze medals so far in short track speed skating. So we're all very proud. She's a multi-medal winner in that sport across the country, and it's very exciting. Yes, we should all give a round of applause to Courtney Sarreau on behalf of the city of Moncton. Pardon me?
She's from the Northwest End, Ward 3.
Northwest End, Ward 3, I'm told by Councillor Butler, but anyway, congratulations, Courtney. You represent Moncton, Canada, and the province very well. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Madame Addis. Thank you.
Merci, and thank you, Councillor Kingston, for mentioning Madame Sarreau. Actually, I had some notes here on behalf of council. So I think we've all watched with excitement Courtney Sarreau, a young Monctonian, shine at the 2026 Winter Olympics. Nous sommes très fiers qu'une Monctonienne participe aux Jeux olympiques et surtout qu'elle soit récipiendaire de 3 médailles jusqu'à présent. Courtney already has a bronze and 2 silver medals, and she will have an opportunity to add another medal tomorrow during the women's relay final. Donc, au nom du conseil municipal de Moncton et des résidents de Moncton, nous félicitons Courtney pour ses exploits qu'elle a réalisés jusqu'ici et nous lui souhaitons bonne chance pour demain. We look forward to her homecoming, and I hope we will, Isabelle, you're going to be responsible for organizing the celebration. Donc, merci beaucoup. Merci à tous. Bravo, Courtney.
Next is reports from administration, les rapports de l'administration, and there is one before council this evening. Modification proposée dans le programme de recevage des rues. The motion before council is that Moncton City Council approve the replacement of Ward Street with Berry Street as part of the 2026 Capital Works Budget Street Resurfacing Program.
Bonsoir, René.
Bonsoir. I think I'm going to keep this very short. As explained in the CRF package, we were proposing to resurface Ward Street as part of the 2026 Capital Works program. But when we did the evaluation of the underground infrastructure, namely the sewer infrastructure, we found that we need to replace that pipe under Ward Street. So we'd like to propose to postpone Ward Street and bring it to a street reconstruction project, which is a different program, different budget. So as a replacement for this year, we would like to resurface a section of Berry Street, which is in the same ward. And Ward Street would again become reconstruction in the near future. We expect to have it in the short-term capital works plan. We haven't decided the year yet, but we can definitely have a closer look at that. I'm here to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Merci, René. Conseiller Richard, est-ce que vous voulez proposer la motion? I need a seconder for the motion. Donc, Conseiller Butler, merci. Are there any other questions? Donc, il n'y a pas de questions. Donc, on va procéder au vote électronique. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Next item is reading of bylaws et lecture des arrêtés municipaux. And this evening, all of them are first readings, subject to the introductions that were done today. And council's already given me permission to give readings, the first reading. Also for the public, these will be available on our website. We can email them, we can send them via mail. They will be there for 14 days. Okay, 11.1 is a bylaw amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.62, 31 Killam Drive. It's a first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z222.62, 31 Promenade Killam, c'est la première lecture. 11.2, a bylaw amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.61, 290 Church Street, ASEC. First reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z 222.61, 290 rue Church, CESA, première lecture. 11.3, a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw being bylaw Z222.64 Checker Drive, first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la Ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z222.64 Promenade Checker, première lecture. 11.4, a bylaw and amendment of a bylaw relating to the adoption of the City of Moncton's municipal plan being bylaw Z122.17 Checker Drive, first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant l'adoption du plan municipal de la Ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z122.17 Promenade Checker, première lecture. 11.5 is a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw being bylaw Z222.65 280 Salisbury Road, first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la Ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z222.65 280 Chemin Salisbury, première lecture. And the final is 11.6, a bylaw and amendment of a bylaw relating to the adoption of the City of Moncton's municipal plan being bylaw Z122.18, 280 Salisbury Road, first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant l'adoption du plan municipal de la Ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z122.18, 280 Chemin Salisbury, c'est la première lecture.
Merci, Madame la greffière. C'est la fin de la réunion. Donc, on peut ajourner, Monsieur le conseiller Richard. C'est beau. Do we need to vote or do you all want to stay? C'est beau. Merci.